Hey, I'm there. I'm there. Present.
All right. Be there or be square, says Chile Memo. With that in mind, we're going to send you over the big kahunas. Joe and I will be back on tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Get it, boys.
All right. Thank you, Jen.
All right, let's get it started.
Informative show there as we waited
sir.
the whole show basically for Jerome Powell to come through. We thought it was going to be one. We double-checked that with Adara, and it's two. And then it's prepared remarks. So, okay. We just been shorting the market. So, you know, we're shorting the NASDAQ right here. We've been shorting for a minute. I'm not sure about reloading. I'm going to give it another shot around 72, which was a key level for us before. But until that comes through, let's just stay put, man. We have a good trade on board here. And we're trying to make it, see if it can last. So right now, the future is nice downside push, but retracing back up here on those prepared remarks from, I almost said President Powell. Fed Chair President Jerome Powell there.
Last I checked.
I saw DJT was moving around too earlier, but we'll get to that in GameStop.
GameStop moving too.
DJT up actually almost 7%.
I mean, look, man, it's one of those days where, okay, well, I'm only in Mara. We're still in Mara, I should say, from earlier. But you've had a few runners out there that are starting to pick up a little steam. So on the periphery is going to be that DJT, which tried to break out earlier, didn't get through that $16 level. Both AMC and GME's breaking the high of the day as we speak. This is going here, up 5%, looking like it wants to continue. Again, if Powell does or says anything crazy, it's not like we're not going to let you guys know. But just running down a couple of things, this just broke the high of the day on GameStop, and this is one of the few days that also going is AMC. I don't know how Raider feels about that. Maybe he's into it. I have no idea. But 3.5%, both of these are headed to the upside. Typically, when we have some weekdays, you find some strength every now and then in a couple of runners. That one is going to set upside. As I said, I'm only in Mara. And I thought there'd be a little something more with Kava here. There was a negative story over lunch for Kava, which is on the New York. Huge volume spike, and it lost a bid. I mean, it tanked like a couple of dollars there, but already right back. The dip buyers on this stock are relentless, but I got my eyeballs in this. Feels like we made a bit of a top in Kava, which is saying a lot because it only ever seems to go up, that one. So there's a lot to watch. Did he just leave the podium?
He gone already? All right, wow.
Oh, there's supposed to be a Q&A, but he's not at the podium anymore. I just looked up and like there's nobody standing there. Whatever.
Yeah, okay. It should be fun times right here. I'm registering for the Oasis tour that is going to be coming.
Oh, nice.
Hopefully.
Look at the stars.
Right here. So there he goes.
How
right
they
here.
shine for you.
Yes, we will do that. The Champagne Supernova, of course. All right, so we're ready to go. Pre-sale ballot. Oh, my God. they're going to do it like that.
Oh, it's like a lottery?
It's going to be like one of those things where hopefully the tickets, if you don't miss, they're not $3 or $4 grand like they are for Taylor Swift.
That's a no.
It's so funny. One of the dads in our hockey group, the kid wanted to go to see Taylor Swift, and obviously he had no idea what he was getting involved with. And he's like, oh, yeah, don't worry. We'll get them I know we missed the tickets, but we could be able to find them online and everything like that. I'm like, yeah, bro, that's like a really nice story that you told.
Go to Germany.
You told. No, it's over with. Her last couple shows are right now. She's doing 5 here in Toronto in October, November. All 5 sold out, all in the Rogers Centre, 70,000 people times 5. So that's 350 right there. And then she winds up the tour in Vancouver, I believe, with another maybe 5 sellout shows over there. Who knows on that one? But anyways, we'll get this Oasis.
There was actually a promotion. I don't know if it was Rogers, because I have Jay's season tickets, and so I guess Rogers did this, where if you didn't they always make you renew for the next year.
Right.
If you renewed for 2 years instead of 1, then they would put you to some kind of no discount. Like you would just buy Taylor Swift at cost. Rebecca's like, are we doing this? I'm like, no.
At cost?
Yeah,
you would have been able to pay.
Then it was like $3 grand. It was ridiculous.
No, cost is not $3 grand.
Oh yeah, well, whatever the heck it was. It wasn't like, okay, fine. It was like $3 grand or whatever the heck.
It's probably one ticket you pay for.
No, what it usually is. So it was, and we probably could have done it to sell it, but we're not going. It's not going to happen. Yeah. But I believe Sharif is in position. And the Q&A, they left the podium because the Q&A is when they're sitting down. So they're sitting in chairs now for some chairs because apparently he doesn't want to do Q&A while standing up, which is fine. Get comfortable. We're comfortable. I wouldn't want to do this standing up if I didn't have to. Let's go to Sharif and get to the symbols you guys are asking us about.
Yes, let's welcome everybody to the afternoon rundown. First, the show where you decide what we talk about every day. As you saw, the big kahunas are locked and loaded. They're ready to look at the tickers as decided by you. So make sure to join us on the How to Trade Midday show and get into that chat and vote for your favorite tickers every day. Otherwise, I don't make them on. So that's a look there. This is the look at the triple Qs right now. The market's quite flat. So the ES, the NQ, the RUS, all really, around that flat area. Really is the Dow that's down about 1/3% last time I looked. So we'll keep tabs on that on the markets. And the first ticker, as decided by you guys, I should say, is NVDA. No specific catalyst today for NVIDIA, but we did get information that ByteDance was actually looking at getting their GPUs elsewhere, which is an interesting look. I believe they're contracting Huawei, so we'll have to keep an eye on that to see if it affects some of the semis trade, guys.
The interesting thing is obviously, there was already a little bit of use with regards to Huawei for ByteDance, but the bigger story is that they were one of the biggest users of NVIDIA's special for China chips, the ones that were, I guess, adhering to the rules and slowing off and all that stuff. So it was a negative story, but believe me when I tell you they bought it off of the open originally, right away. So at 9:30, it actually broke out right into prior high on NVIDIA. So I was short twice. The first time, we'll come to the chart for a quick little second. The first time was off of the 120 level. Oh, Fabian's a little bit. Fabian, can we come to the chart for quick? Yeah, there we go. Thanks, brother. So we came into the 120 level, which was the first place I liked it. It did a little bit of a test, went to 119, like 95 or something like that. Bounced off of the 60s, but when it's screaming, like you got no red candles, you had no up down. So I just got out right away, waited for the previous close price. As a matter of fact, okay, we're probably going to retest 120 anyways, but shorted it back into VWAP, was able to get it back, and then some more to be up on NVIDIA. It then went into another bounce into 121. You got some lower highs being put in for a test of the 120 level coming in here. When you look at it on the 15-minute, it does feel like, okay, you did another dip off of the same level from Friday, but you have a bit of a bull flag. So if we don't break out this top, I think the test is to 119 and maybe an inside afternoon while Powell's talking, because we don't seem to be moving a heck of a lot. The other one that was a short is still a short, I think, is Intel. That's one we're just a little bit more active on. Short top, short 230, 23.5, short 23.60. This never really broke back out above 23.60. So I'm going to look to short that one. It's actually a little bit underneath VWAP as we speak, but you can see the resistance better here at 23.60 for some reloads. I was doing it up until about noon and then haven't gotten back in, but I think that's a short till it's not with that 24 level.
All right, NVIDIA will be my second P&L name here today. First will be the futures. We'll talk about that as we go. But NVIDIA was monstrous, man. We shorted right up here at the beginning of the day. We put it down. Obi asked me how I was doing. And Satya, they were both there having some lunch. And I said, I'm doing pretty good. 221.50 was the short there. Came into play and bang. Huge trade to the upside there. And then it lost, right? So we were short. Then it lost it. Then it came right back up. We could have reshorted that right there. We were not in there. There's something about... Oh, Capri's Hall.
Oh, that's what it was.
Right now. And we're just going to go short NVIDIA right now again. I'm going to go short against this little high there. We're going to average into it. We're not going to put on a bunch of shares. But if the market loses step here, which it looks like it's trying to do, underneath VWAP, I don't mind it into this. But we may get stopped out right now. Let's try this into 70. So the stop right now is into 70 on NVIDIA. No more averaging in, man. We could take a 30-cent hit on this one. It's probably about a third of the shares we normally would have had here on this name right now. So let's wait to see if NVIDIA can happen. But right now, yeah, I like the short. My third name is Intel. We'll just talk about that as the show goes on. Intel was another huge trade off of 24 short there. So a lot of action early on. Let's see if we can get some right now with Powell taking questions, I guess.
Yeah, he's live right now. We'll keep an eye on what's being said. Tesla next up, guys. Today they reported that they exported their millionth car out of their Shanghai facility 4 years after launching the first one. Most of those go to Europe, some to Southeast Asia. Those are export only. Those are not just the ones that were produced locally for consumption there. Cantor Fitzgerald also chiming in today on Tesla, reiterating their neutral rating and maintaining that same $245 price target. We also have Q3 deliveries, likely sometime this week, possibly into the weekend. And don't forget, guys, that 10/10 event, October 10th, Robotaxi. I'm all eyes and ears.
Yeah, we should. I like that, the 10/10 event.
Yeah,
I mean, I forgot this. Like, it's a 10th month, but yeah, and then earnings the week after for Tesla. So I feel like, look, Tesla's run into resistance up top here. It's got some trouble in the mid 260s, low 260s. You had another test today and another fail up there on Tesla. So it's been a great run on the daily. Feels like if you're taking risk off in front of the Robotaxi and earnings, this is easily the spot to do it. And I tend to think you got lower highs going in here. The good news is it held on to that kind of 257, 258 area support, but it's a series of lower highs again off that fail break. I'm still thinking it's relatively weak in here. I just got a little bid on Mara. Is what it is. Rivian is actually relatively strong. This is breaking a little bit higher. So as Tesla just pulled back, as you guys saw, Rivian, which is a nasty stock and has not been good, is trying to break back out the top. I'm going to keep my eyes on this one if it decides to continue to go the other direction here this afternoon. Just a little bit of strength coming into this EV name. But Tesla looking weak. I think those early 160s or 260s are still a bit of a sell zone. Maybe all the way until earnings, or sorry, to the Robotaxi, which is first.
We're cleaning out some NVIDIA right now, so let's just drop a little bit. We're taking a dime only. We're out of 20%. We just scalped a little bit out here. Remember, Powell's talking right now, so we'll just get a little bit out as it stopped. Our next trade will be somewhere here near 25. Hopefully we'll be able to get that. Here it comes back in right now. We'll see if we are able to get it. Let's just make sure we have our orders out right now. So we do have a bid at 26. Hopefully that comes through. Right now, a nice little drop in here. What's up? NVIDIA, let's get back into the money here for us. Again, our stop is up here. So we're 1-to-1, just a little bit north of 60 on this trade. So far, so good here as we go. Market trying to fall back in. We are still short the NQs. As far as Tesla is concerned, what's up, Tesla? How are you doing? We were just short up here, so it's not much happening for us on, long rate here on Tesla. We were flat on the trade. Made some money, lost some money. It lost 258, and that was it. The bottom was 257. We were real close, guys, to picking that up. But again, we're risk managers around here. So we get in, we think that's the bottom. It breaks down, we get out. But at the end of the day, we are about 50 cents away from nailing that bottom, and that would have been a great trade. So let's let Tesla chill out. I still think it's a relatively strong stock, although it won't tell you that because it's down 0.4 versus 2.1 here in the NASDAQ. But I still think if the market goes, this is going to be a name that we're going to want to get on the back of. So I still like it. But, oh, boy, let's see if NVIDIA can go again. NVIDIA just right now overtakes Intel. We talked about that as my number 2 stock, and then the futures as we just discussed it. So I like Tesla ahead of 1010, but I still think it's a sell the news type of event. Here comes NVIDIA. Let's go. Right now, we are now 20 cents in the money. Hopefully it gets down. We will have news. Adara will just interrupt us when she can about Powell. He's saying 2 more rate cuts this year for hopefully a total of 50 more basis points. What's up, Adara?
We do have comments here from Fed Chair Powell saying that if basically the economy behaves the way they think it will, there'll be a total of 2 more cuts this year, 25 basis points each, so a total of 50 basis point cuts for the rest of the year from what I heard during this Q&A with Fed Chair Jerome Powell, guys.
All right, great look there. Apple next up on the rundown. JP Morgan reiterating their overweight rating and boosting the price target to $265, basically saying that the demand or the lack thereof for the iPhone 16 is correcting. Keep an eye out for that. Separately, the Wall Street Journal reporting that Apple is dropping out of the funding round for OpenAI, valued at about $150 million. Sam Altman, by the way, getting $7 billion in equity out of that last funding round, guys. So good luck.
Not bad at all, Sam. He's Sam Altman at the latest funding raising for OpenAI, getting a $7 billion. Just a couple of updates here. Margins broke VWAP. We're about to I mean, you're about to, actually, no, you just broke NASDAQ support. So, you're continuing to break here. So there is, let me just show you NASDAQ support, zoom in. You just broke some support. If we test the lows, looking to get out at the low of the day, I'm missing some data on my Mara chart. But anyways, it's like the morning bottom, you can see it right here, like 16, 17, 16, 18 down in there. I'm in front of 20s. We do want to reload this one if we can grab it, but the market's starting to roll over. And pretty much nothing immune as you're about to break VWAP on Apple. Apple's losing VWAP as we speak.
Oh, boy.
Another resistance here up at the 231 on Apple. This is like the third time that it's kind of failed that top. If we lose flat bottom support at 231 and a quarter, this one can easily join the party. That's the same level that I liked it for the long, but if it loses it, I mean, the shorts are continuing to work here. It's just been a short kind of day. If we lose these quarters on Apple, I think the market's already telling you the story down here. Powell's not telling us anything we don't already know, so. Really
guys,
pumping.
we are just, boom, that trade on NVIDIA, guys. What a money maker right there. We just shorted that into that level. Boom goes the dynamite. We did have a trade here to go short again through 120. It's breaking, so our average price is going to be a little bit lower than where it is right now, but we start stacking up right now. It's another chicken dinner winner here. 20 cents now, 20 cents, sorry. 60 cents now in the money as we make that move down. And there it is, live. It's alive and it's in the wild. It's a dollar club right there. As there goes the futures again. We're still short up here. Again, we've been putting this position in the chat since the midday show, and I just realized I am not even in the chat here today. So I'm going to get over there. Powell's still talking. Let's go figure it out about Apple now.
Oh, he's still chatting. He's still there. All right, this is what he said earlier. Fed Chair Powell says the level of job creation may not be quite at the point to keep unemployment rate level in light of the rising Fed supply. The Fed is also not in a hurry to cut rates quickly, will be guided by data. Keep that in mind. Adair telling me off camera that he said he was looking to cut about 50 basis points by the end of the year. The market reacting a little bit negatively to that. Separately, we had Fed's Goolsbee earlier on saying that there are many rate cuts to come, guys.
That we know. We know.
Fighting the Fed now, baby.
Yeah, you generally speaking don't want to be fighting the Fed. That said, that's a long-term kind of look.
Oh, go shorty.
But with a short right now is continuing to work. You've got another failed top here on the SPY. So we've been mentioning this for the last few days here. Every single time we seem to break that top, you get a bit of a wick and then a bit of a reversal. So there's another failed top, lower high. You can call head and shoulders or whatever you want there. There's your head and shoulders. There's your retest of the shoulder. You lose the bottom at 570. I think we're going to round into a little bit of trouble. Okay, was Intel going to break the low already?
Oh, yeah, probably.
All right, so 2330 has been this triple bottom on Intel. Looks like it actually wants to break this to the downside. I'm going to be on it when it breaks this 23.3 here. We've been waiting for this one to go pretty much all morning long, or all day long. What am I talking about?
Guys, we have a, just quickly here, NVIDIA now overtakes the MI futures as the number one trade right here. So I see someone's calling. Let's go find out from Adara.
To the downside in the last 3-minute candle for the S&P 500. Worth noting, Fed Chair Jerome Powell just asked about inflation for the first time during the Q&A, saying that housing and service inflation is still having some issues, not dropping the way they would like. Now, it seems like we're trying to recover from that as of right now, but just to note here, inflation talk on watch right now, guys.
All right, Meta, the last name on the rundown over here. You saw me trade this unsuccessfully on the midday, but they did get multiple knots today from analyst ratings, from analysts. Cantor Fitzgerald reiterating their overweight rating and maintaining their price target of 660 separately. Monet, Crespi, and Hardit maintaining the buy and raising the price target to 620 on Meta. I just like those AR glasses, guys, man.
Market liked them too, but and it was doing great this morning. Meta was like a lot of names. It was actually strong early on, but it's just another 574 has been a bit of a thing on Meta. So it was another breakout that just reversed. The good news for Meta is it's actually still green when the markets turn red. At least the NASDAQ and the ES have turned red. I haven't checked it out. It doesn't really matter. So Meta is holding out some relative strength, but that's just got lost at 570. So like if we had bounced and gone running with Powell, I feel like this could have been one, but that's just not what's happening here. We're heading right back into the downside. Meta super strong early on, another fail at the 574 level. There's been no buying really above 574, 575 on Meta. Is when it gapped up there, it essentially just lost it. And again today, another spot of resistance for it. It's like just like the SPY we were just talking about. It's just wicks through that high. Like it's just getting to fresh highs and it's rejecting above 575 as we're heading back down lower. Bye-bye.
Guys, right now, this is 140 handles now off this trade. It just continues to fall down. There it goes. Look at this dramatic move down here in the markets as Powell just keeps on talking. And I'm right here. Like, this is a great monster move down. NVIDIA not really doing it. It's the futures and the TQQ that just made them just go nuts right there into the bottom of that trade. Look, man, we wrote this down. There it goes. It's a downside move. It's the futures. We've got it. We've got it good here. Nice move to the downside. We'll wait to see what's going on. 70-50, 70-60 right now. It's going lower, Neil. It's NVIDIA, and it's a banger right there. So let's keep going on that one. If we can get me that 57s. Did we just miss that 57 or what? Nice downside push. We need to get something out. There it is. There's the 57. All right, we ride that bear. Hey, man, now who's glad that they wrote down bearish feelings so far here today? I mean, there it goes, man. These are the futures today at the bottom of the day. So these bearish feelers have let us go nuts here today, really favoring the short and really, really taking advantage of that. Oh my, now we are just absolutely cascading right now back into the downside right now. So there goes the futures, man. Hey, I mean, the proof is right here. It's a downside move, and we've got it. So thank you again for watching and enjoying the stream. We couldn't do it without you.
Absolutely. It's a flush right now. Market lost that bid. I got out of Mar. We said we're getting out at the low of the day because it's been bouncing there pretty much the entirety of the time. This was the first thing we got back into, pretty much the same price almost all day long. But if we don't hold on to this bottom, I think you've got another gap into 16 even. Intel did break that low as well, but I wanted to show you I'm now out of Mara at that 16.5 to 16.2. Intel broke the flat bottom through 23.30. That's where it bounced early. It bounced the last time we were short. It's now breaking the lows of the day. I want 23s in here, which is pretty obvious because it's a round number. But then go back to the last time we're under that price. This is 23.10. So I want to make sure we're getting bids out to that 10 and just see how far it wants to go to the downside. There was news on Capri, which I'll get to later. It's moving, but that's just like a buyout, and I didn't see any follow through. I would have, if it was following through, then we'd be talking about it a little bit more. That's Capri Holdings. But we said we'd take that flat bottom break whenever it did happen. It ends up happening after big pop of pump doesn't exactly pump things to the upside, which is, it is what it is. It's not like we've been having that massive pump after Powell anyways. 3% here. NASDAQ looking very, very weak. Oh, I guarantee you Apple lost that bid. Yeah, Apple lost that flat bottom bid, so you could have had that break as well as everything pretty much heading to said downside. Not a lot of strength out there. You might have to look over in meme land this afternoon the way things are going. Although sometimes the market just drags it all to the downside. He's still answering questions. If anything crazy happens, we'll let you guys know, but hold on to your butts. Vertigo just said $10 short on SMCI. It's the last time you'll be able to do that one. Oh, I guess you'll probably have some other opportunities. That's going to be a $40 stock tomorrow, which is about to be nasty.
It's a $2 winner now. I mean, these futures are now almost 200 handles in the money. We're short up here at 1130, 20,250. It's at 20,075 right now as we just continue to, again, just, hit the trades we want, and hopefully be able to turn around and show you what exactly is good. I mean, this is a nice move in right now for the futures, right into day's low again. I'll probably put a piece, maybe just even cover it right now at 119, sorry, that's NVIDIA, 119.19 here. That's a decent cover. I mean, we're already in the money now on this one as we just took this trade for you. So it's a nice move downside. And again, you guys can find all of this information about my opinion on the market and everything at Trader TV. Sean, we just crossed 48,000 followers, so thank you for that one as well. But there it is right here today, this morning. We put the sticky note out, came out here, and if you can read the top, bearish feel right here, given at 8 o'clock. So it's nice when you look down now at 2:30 and we're at the lows of the day. So there it goes, man. NVIDIA short, Apple, Intel, TQs, big play there at 72.50 and 20,200. So there it is. I just hope that it's been able to be somewhat, looked at there, but whatever. All right, so here it comes. NVIDIA, I'm thinking now we are at this level here. We could just take a bid. So let's just put a bid at 31. There it is, let's go, it is.
Another one.
So we'll take a little bit out here on NVIDIA as it just falls back in for us. So continued movements downside, south side there on NVDA. Loaded it up there, loaded it up there. The top two stocks today, we talked about this, right? NVIDIA and the Qs, the positions that I've been in the longest, and they continue to work out for us. So again, there it is, man. Do your work, believe in the trade, hold on to it. And as long as it makes sense, you should be able to justify it. And we were able to do that. So not too bad there. Maybe giving this to 72, maybe this bottom here, 72.82. Give this a little bit of room back up. If we get stopped out there, we get stopped out there. It's a banger right here on the futures. So we'll just continue to hold out hope that it can go a little bit lower as Powell, I guess, still speaking. We'll wait to hear what he says.
Yeah, I mean, he's still just a little bit of the Q&A. Again, there's just nothing crazy happening in there. I don't know where I want to reload yet on Mara. So I'm missing a little early data. So if you look at this chart, until it fills in, ignore VWAP. And I don't necessarily care about VWAP on this chart. It's been the $16.50 level anyways, but it's some of these recent lows, like 16.25. Like that's where I want to start to key in. Does it hold underneath like the previous low for some kind of a reload? And then Intel, we took another leg out there as it was a flat bottom break. When that happens, you want to get out, or at least take some profit on that breakdown. You never want to get that wick and then a reversal, especially given that Powell's talking. But if we do bounce, the first place I'm looking is that previous support at 23.30 to be the reload spot. So we waited pretty much all day for that one. If we get an opportunity on a bounce, we'll look for the short there. There's one other thing I wanted to get to for all of you. If you thought that you could hide in a little GameStop, yeah, that was no good. GameStop, it just fell like everything else. So it actually didn't even matter. Like this was pretty strong. It was breaking highs when we started the show. This just busted to the downside as well. So again, the shorts are printing. I'm basically just going to hold Intel. I'm looking for the bounce back into that key 23.30 level. If it does, I want to play the curl off of there. Don't know if we're going to be able to get VWAP on Mara again, but pretty much everything headed to the downside. Adara?
Is just an update here with regards to the CME Fed Watch tool as we get comments from Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Market currently pricing in about a 68.2% chance that the Fed is going to undergo a 25 basis point cut at the next meeting. This, of course, follows comments from Fed Chair Powell saying that they are likely to, or looking to cut at least by 25 basis points at the next two meetings, resulting in a total 50 basis point cut by the end of the year if economic conditions continue to head in this direction. So CME Fed Watch tool basically reacting directly to comments from Fed Chair Powell here, guys.
Says how much more they're expecting. I would expect that tool should adjust in real time if the man himself is saying what is going to be happening. Yeah, not a heck of a lot that's holding up strength. I mean, I'd love to be able to say, hey, as the market went down, there was relative strength in stock X or stock Y. I thought that was going to be like GameStop or something that was squeezable, but even those lost it. There was some kind of a positive story on Capri, but I thought it might have been a little bit juicier. It's already losing a bit of the bid. They're supposed to be bought at like $57, so anything positive here could get you a little bit of a ramp up, but it wasn't much follow through when it comes to this. I'm going to keep my ear to the ground on Capri. It's again just there was just an update on, I suppose, the Tapestry deal, whether or not it's going to be able to go through. So if they break out the top, I think it's going to be worth watching because that is a lot of room to the actual price.
Yeah, deal talk. We like that trade that we had on U.S. Steel that one time when there was some deal talk. That was crazy. As I guess it was then President, not then President Trump, but President Trump a couple months ago there, if elected, was going to bust that deal, I thought. But we'll talk about that later when it matters. Okay, I'm going to get out of this 70. I was going to give it about 20 minutes worth of moves down. So that's about 70 right here. I called up the TQQ here on this chart. The next prior bar close is right now. So we could get that prior bar closing on us. And we want to make sure that we get out. So right there, nice movement down 70, 75. We're going to get out on the TQQs if it does come back in. So I just want everyone to note that That's going to be our spot if it does come back. 70, 75 right now. So the half-point rate cut in September was a reflection of confidence, says Jerome. We're really huge. We're really happy with the day. Let's go over to Dare with some recaps.
Half an hour until power hour. So we're going to recap what happened during the midday session in case anyone wasn't sitting at their desk during that 11 to 2 period. Of course, the biggest thing here was everyone waiting for Fed Chair Jerome Powell began speaking at 1:55. So just before that midday session came to a close. Sean just mentioning there, Fed Chair Jerome Powell saying that their rate cut and the fact they waited so long actually was a show of confidence rather than uncertainty. So felt like that even bolstered that decision even more. Market reacting pretty positively to that. At that point, we got a bit of a bottoming tail candle here on the S&P 500 in the 15-minute chart. Market, though, initially moving down first after Fed Chair Powell said that they only see 50 basis points of cut throughout the rest of the year. So 225 basis point cut would be the implication there. Also moving down even further after Fed Chair Jerome Powell noted that the housing services segment is having a little bit slower recovery there with regards to inflation. Even the fact that it might not hit their 2% target. So that's an interesting note out of those comments. We have the cues here as well, as you can see in the 3-minute chart, that nice pop up after mentioning the confidence in that 50 basis point decision. Feds Bostic and Goolsbee also making comments. Feds Bostic saying that he could actually see another 0.5 percentage point rate cut if there is some unexpected weakness in the labor market. And then also Feds Goolsbee saying that he sees more cuts this year and that the economy is normalized, which says that's why the Fed is cutting those rates. So some more Fed comments. In terms of one of the biggest movers during the midday, we had Kava here, CAVA, having a large drop with a pretty notable volume spike on a tweet here from Hunter Book Research, actually issuing a short report with regards to the company's sanitation concerns, saying that they've grown too quickly. So CAVA, one of the biggest midday movers. Lots to look at today, of course, guys.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about Kava there and Mobileye ourselves there, as we had noticed that Mobileye got hit there. I think it was a downgrade or something a couple weeks ago there. So yeah, Mobileye downside pressure on them. But hey, guys, you know, no shorts, no cry. But if you do have shorts, then you are printing right now. And it's been a good little run for us here on the TQs. It just did reject that prior bar close on the 20-minute chart. So that's right there. We lucky, man. We put it 75. So if you're going to look, it was right into here. Here's the 20-minute chart. We're trying to use that a little bit more. So it was 80s or so on that. So we're going to try to use a little bit of a larger time frame here as we continue to hold on and get these monsters to come through here, the monsters of the midway right there. So, okay, nice move down. We'll just see if we can break the low for NVIDIA. Shorted there, shorted more. Like we shorted this on purpose. Like we had a break of 120. We knew we wanted to get short if it broke through VWAP and underneath all this. You know, to be honest with you, the fact is we were able to get shorter here. So we didn't need to worry about it. On the way back up, I was like, okay, let's wait to see. Was not certain what was going to happen around the 200 period. Let it come back in, break the 200, break down. We saw the futures breaking down. We were already short the futures. We could sort of tell what was happening. And you got to have like that spidey sense. We talk about that all the time. And I think it is instinct. Trading is, I mean, it's pretty much 90% art, 10% science, something like that. But there it goes to the downside, man. NVIDIA, everything's starting to push a little bit. So let's just continue to hold on to this short. We have our stops. For NVIDIA, I do only have 10% left. I have the stop rate here at 65. If we break that little shelf right there, that's what we're going to get out. And then the alpha on the shelf is TQQ, where we are now out. I was just going to show that to you. We were getting out if it broke 70s. So there it goes. That was that low. We did hold it out the first time. Did pull back 30 cents, but there it is. To end that trade, man, and we will still stay here. Let's just still stay bearish, not fruit salad. Let's still stay bearish a little bit here. But we're getting, you know, out of our positions there as we're back to day's high right now for our P&L. So good trading so far. There it is. And then there's the other out on NVIDIA. So now we're flat, man. Wipe our hands clean. NVIDIA stock number 1, futures stock number 2 right there.
Yeah, I'm about to go long in Mara if we're able to get it. Look, it's the only thing. Remember we said Tesla was going to the downside? And, well, I mean, everything was going to the downside. But Mara was relatively strong. I'm missing some data there again. But it's held at 1130, essentially long off of VWAP. I'm still in Intel. I don't want to give it up just yet. As the market bounces, if it doesn't regain that flat bottom, like you break the low of the day, if you don't regain the low, I think it can still be a short. But it is bouncing. And there was this reversal candle in here. So I already scalped into this level or scalped out of that level, but a big volume spike. The biggest one was when we lost. Obviously, when it broke support is going to be the bigger candle, but there was just this big reversal candle in here on Intel. So if it does get back up 23.30, I already have a trail in just above the 30 level, but if we get a rejection, I'd add to it and then just use the trailing as a stop for any kind of a re-entry. So Rivian's the only new position, and T-Money says that Rivian, not Mara. So this is Rivian, which I got long because it was trending up and it held VWAP in there. And then Mara I got out of at the low. See, I'm still missing some. So Mara just did a reversal candle, kind of like Intel did, but I was already out of Mara. Mara is nowhere near VWAP at this point. I mean, most of the crypto names are taking it on. They were taking it on the chin a little bit already, regardless. So when we made some fresh lows here, they just kind of did what they were already doing. Like, yeah, like look at the VWAP retrace you could have had there on Coinbase at lunchtime. So it's bouncing off. They're both bouncing off the bottoms. I probably wait a little bit more to see how far this bounce goes before thinking about shorting anything else. So Intel, it's getting a little bit closer toward that flat bottom break at 23.30, but that's going to be the line in the sand for me. 23.30 was a flat bottom break. We'll continue to work with this. We're going to go to Adara, but see battles. We'll get to Palantir in that 37 when we come back.
Market generally recovering not too badly here from that initial move down with regards to Fed Chair Jerome Powell's comments, but CleanSpark additionally on watch here, trying to make a nice push off of that bottom, providing an update with regards to how its operations have been impacted by Hurricane Helene, saying that their infrastructure and employees are safe. They were able to maintain a certain X-hash rate, were able to restore also some X-hash, and saying that they're expecting to be fully back online here by October 4th with 24 X-hash. So interesting look here for CLSK. Keep an eye on that one with regards to that Hurricane Helene operational update, guys.
All right, so we had, I just took a Tylenol. I was like, oh man, I feel like, what did I do this weekend? But not much, actually. More hockey, more this and more that. The first Blue Jays game, pause. Oh, no, keep going. Of the season for us right here. And we're pretty happy. So there's my daughter, Gia. We had great seats right there. We talked with Adam and Neil and everything. It was a lot of fun times right there. So it's 20 seats or 20 rows or so from the home plate. Pretty cool to sit there. My daughter was like, oh man, we need to get season seats. I was like, yeah, well, I can't afford these season seats. But it was a fun time there as we go. So it was really fun. And, you know, we enjoyed it. But at the same time, sad to see it. I really love fall baseball. And we'll have to watch another team. For me, I'm going to go with Ohtani just because I love the story there of his first playoff. The largest, he was the longest, streak of any current Major League Baseball player not making the playoffs. So it was over 854 games or something like that, which is amazing considering how wicked he is.
Well, what's crazy about it is literally the two best players of this generation and it's not like there's a debate about it. Like Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout are, you could argue, top 10 of all time at this point. And they were on the same team and they couldn't go to the playoffs together. Like if you're a basketball fan, like you have to try to imagine if, you know, LeBron and KD ever had teamed up and they couldn't even make it to the playoffs. Like forget about not winning a championship, they couldn't even make it to the playoffs. Yeah. Like I want to see Ohtani go all the way because that's the most fun thing. I feel bad for anybody if you're an Arizona fan. Right now, they want to make the playoffs. There's 2 games left in the regular season. It's a doubleheader between the Mets and, I already forget. It's like the Mets and, it doesn't matter. It's Atlanta. They're tied right now. So they're tied with 2 games to play, which is a doubleheader today. And Arizona is essentially like they have 2 games in hand. If they go 1-1 and split it, it's a 3-way tie, and Arizona loses both tiebreaks. Okay, so Arizona needs one team to sweep. The problem is, once one team wins the first game, they have 0 reason to win the second game.
Doesn't matter anymore.
So they're just going to they're not even going to bother trying.
That's why there's 162 games. Yeah,
it's depressing because you want to be able to be excited. But
that's why it's so important, though, is what I'm saying. Like, that's why those early games.
Every game matters.
You know, you look back and it's like,
they play too many games.
What have we done? Yeah, well, that's.
I tend to think they play way too many games.
They said that this was. I mean, I had a lot of fun. I know you guys did too. You have fun every year. But they said that because of all the renovations in the Sky Dome this year, and the fact that we're the 4th highest salary, and the fact that we're in last place, it was one of the worst years. But I thought with Vladdy sort of coming on again, like I think there were some good stories there. And we traded away and
They got what
some
they-
guys, and you know,
It
hopefully
was a
help us
disappointment.
out.
Like you said, like it's a great experience. They've made everything look absolutely gorgeous.
they need
But I'll
it.
tell you right now, if I wasn't a diehard fan, this is the kind of year that you spend more after all those renovations and you can't make the playoffs. It's a disappointment. At the end of the day, you want to be at the dance. And sorry, before we go to the desk, I just heard we're going to Adair again. Palantir is bouncing off of VWAP, and yeah, this should have been the one. Like Rivian has bounced and gone 2 cents. Palantir, what the heck?
What's going on?
Oh, I mean, look at the bounce on Palantir. Like stock was already pretty strong, about to break the 37 level any second now. Just to do some work, it's close to all-time high. Sorry, not all-time highs. You keep saying that. 52-week highs after being added to the S&P. But this is a pretty good liquidity grab that happened underneath that 36.5 again. Well, I don't know why I would have been looking at Palantir, but that 36.5 looks like fantastic support. If we get a chance to dip buy off that one again, we really should be, because it's a great level. Palantir, it's not at the high of the day yet, but that was a great dip buy opportunity, relative strength here off of VWAP. Was that Adara?
Here we did have that event from the National Association of Business Economics coming to an end. Market continuing to push higher here as Fed Chair Jerome Powell leaves the podium. So continued strength here off of that bottom here on the S&P 500 and the Qs, guys.
Come over here just real quick. Thanks, Adair, for that. I just want to say, like, when you are currently trading and you need to be a risk manager, we talk about that all the time. This is where I got out of the TQQs. You know, we just saved ourselves like 50 or 60 cents just because, again, and it's tough. Like, we're on the show, we're trying to make our, not just our best decisions, but try to, you know, get in, get out, understand why we're getting in. We talked about that 20-minute prior bar low right there that we're going to get out at 75. So we did do that. So that again right there saves us. So Siren's up for that one. And then let's look at NVIDIA as well. The same kind of thing, right? There's the shelf on NVIDIA. We see this past little support there, breaks it, hit it to the downside, hit it and quit it. Some of you are very famous, or that might be one of your moves. But there it goes to the downside there, bouncing off again. Look at the station to station. We talk about that too all the time. Neil does. Here's the first station, right? We get a piece out at that bottom. Obviously, we continue to scalp as we get some out at the 50, then at VWAP, then underneath. But when we push it to the bottom, you got to get something out here at that low, which is right here. Something out at these lows, which is right here. Again, right? This bottom low right there. Then something out at the very low of the day. All right. And then on the break up, we get out. Now, the question is right here, that's nice. What have you done for me lately?
What have you?
Well, by the way, my wife is making this some sort of a meatball soup that she read from Maddie Matheson. And I am, oh boy, ready to go. We're not even home until 8 o'clock tonight because my daughter again has baseball. Like, what's going on? Sorry, not baseball, hockey. And then I have a baseball meeting at 8 p.m. tonight. So that doesn't stop,
Election
man.
season.
Yeah, no, well, we're running winter camps. So yeah,
Have you already selected?
all the kids sign up. We don't select our rep teams till the spring.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah,
because I know some teams.
Yeah, it's very.
Yeah, some teams are doing
it's
it
happening now. It's like we're like one of the only ones that don't do it.
Okay, got yeah.
I don't know why we
I was
do
just
that.
talking with one of my buddies who's also a rep coach.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, they're right in the thick of
Yeah.
the selection season. What's jokes is two of the guys I played ball with, one plays at like a higher tier, and so it's like when he cuts guys, the other guy is saying, he gets like, yo, this guy's good. Yeah, send him down to me.
Right.
At the next tier down. But it's always busy around here. We have a fun event to go to tomorrow, but I have to. Like I said, when we got to this level, this is the decision point. There has not been, since that reversal candle on Intel, like there hasn't been a red candle. So the decision would be to not reload into this kind of a bounce, right? So if we break 2330 back, the flat top break or flat bottom break, just going to get out. If we do a consolidation under, then I think it looks a little bit better for reversal. This is not the kind of afternoon. Well, I mean, no afternoon is where you want to give it back, but it gets post Powell. Like we just had the typical, like what do we usually see with Powell? We go one direction, he finishes talking, we go the other direction. And generally speaking, you don't want to necessarily fight too hard that other direction. So if it makes that bounce and continues, I want to make sure that this is still resistance at 2330 before reloading it. Rivian kind of just, I don't know, it bounces off VWAP, tries to get to 40, stalls at 38 there. I'm sitting in front of the offer 42. The high is 47. Feel like Palantir, like here's the difference between two VWAP bounces. Both trending up. There's one. and then there's the other. So obviously, just a little bit stronger is Palantir, and it's already green, and Rivian's down 2%. We're like a little bit of a muted bounce on Rivian. It's not like it's bad, but I feel like this might be better in the afternoon. I don't really know a particular story as to why Palantir was up anyways relative to the other rest of the market, but a good day for them. And I do want to keep eyes, well, we'll see. I want to keep my eyes on Mara as it's also trying to bounce. Didn't get anywhere near VWAP on the last little bounce or resistance at that 16.5 level. That chart's kind of annoying, but VWAP's not going to be right on that chart because it's missing some data. But I think the level is still that 16.5. It just feels like it wants to consolidate off the bottom. We'll let this one play out. If it starts to roll over, I might short this one off of 16.3, but the market looking at least a little bit strong here. I've got to find a way to get into that Palantir. Yeah, I agree. Sebastian saying in the chat, and it could just be Palantir bounced because it was at a technical level. Sometimes it's as simple as that. Palantir has had support from about 36.40 to 36.50. All it did today was liquidity grab that off of the open. Like there's your, or wick that off the open. There's your rejection. There's the higher low, and then it just kind of broke it out. So a lot of times you only really need a key level to be held, and that's your reason for the trade. But, well, I like the continuation on Palantir. If we take out the top, I like Palantir taking out the top too.
Yeah, agreed on all of that. I mean, I think we want to continue the, continue the rhetoric of trading strong names into strong markets. I mean, if we think this market is strong, I don't, but it's a nice recovery there. So I'm going to give you a trade idea here that I'm about to put on that is going to be a little bit risky for sure, but this is going to be a play that, again, remember, feeling bearish, that's done. Like our day is made right now. We stop trading and be completely happy with it, but that's not how we operate. We're looking for more opportunities. So now that we've sort of bounced off there and 20,200 is coming back in, I would think this is another area to think about reloading into the short. So if you want to look at the TQQs here, I think you have a little bit of room to go. I wouldn't want to do anything until we get back to this level. That's, again, when we start, it's 2 o'clock, when we started getting Powell and started to hear the talk and brought it all the way back down into the downside. Of course, we were short there, thinking 1 o'clock was when Powell was coming. So we were short at 12:30. Did not come through. We just exited it out, and then boom. We just had that little sense that potentially when Powell came, we were going to get negative Nancy, and that's exactly what happened. Nice downside move and then out right there. So, all right, that's the TQs. Now, the trade that I'm looking to do right here, and bear with me, it's going to be Google. Let me explain to you what we're thinking about right now. So, all right, look at this run off the open, right? Just an absolute monster move. Why in the world did we go up $2? All right, I'll tell you why. Why I think that there was just too much pressure on a name that's been so beat up that has a forward PE of 19. We've talked about this. If the market wants to rally, I feel like money's going to come into Google. I've said that over and over again. I think they've pushed up Amazon. Now they'll let Amazon come back. They're letting NVIDIA do its own damn thing now. Micron, we looked at that already. ARM's going. Microsoft's to the downside. They've let Meta go up. I think Google could be the next one. So I don't know if they're going to be buying it up on all the dips, but look at this. I think a 165 break, that would get us above VWAP, above the 50, above the 200. So, you might be thinking about a short now, but look, Google's up right now, 0.4. If the market continues to go and takes out VWAP and then takes out and holds 20,200, you're going to look back and be like, wow, Google's at 166, and why are we not long 165? So I'm going to take that break on Google if it goes through 165. Now, we only have about an hour left until the imbalances come through. That will obviously affect this. If this trade does not break 165, then we can leave it alone. But for right now, I like that kind of a look there on a strong name, trying to find a name that is up today. We're going to be down on Apple, but this is another name that's really strong, and you might want to do the same thing. So we just tried to buy Apple up here. So we already tried this play on Apple. The exact play that I'm giving to you guys on Google, I've already lost on. Ding. And that was on Apple. We thought it was going higher here. It kept on running, same way. Bounced off VWAP, held the 50 period, held everything, the 200 held. I was like, all right, let's take out day's high. It came up there and completely spat in my face and went the other way. So it's not a huge hit, but this is an L on a very similar play there to Google. So let's wait to see. Apple is stronger, so maybe it's already gone. Apple's at 52-week high. Its 52-week high is 237 and change. So you're right there right now. I like the Google trade. I'm going to just sort of plant my flag on that and see if that comes through. Just a little bit of a push in the market. But again, if you like the short, can't hate on trying to go short right now against VWAP and everything. I just don't have the conviction.
I'm just trying to find something that's at VWAP. Like, I want something at a level that I liked
Well,
for
it was
a rollover.
the futures right there.
Oh, yeah. That's sort of the thing. Oh, of course, now Intel. I said, let's not reload it on the front side. But see, right there's that 23.30 level. So I'm like, on the front side, maybe not. But on the other side of the trade, wow. As I was about to say, look, Intel broke that 30 and it was right back underneath. I pull up the stock. Instantly, someone bought it right back above that key level. So if the key level was 23.30, you had one breakdown into it, essentially clean. And then since that reversal candle at the bottom, and it's not just like a wick and then a reversal like that, it's also a big volume candle. You want that to happen on volume, and it's just a bigger sign. Yeah, we could be headed back into VWAP. If the 23.30 is not going to hold, then it's 23.5. So you just got to be patient. I'm still in the camp of short Intel at this point. So I'll let it get, if it's not here, it's going to be that 23.50. Palantir might end up breaking that top after all without a chance to dip by it. Rivian, it's bouncing off VWAP. It's not really going all that fast. GameStop had stopped moving. Didn't really mean that pun at all. And so if we're looking for some longs, I want things above VWAP and trending higher. That's why we're looking at Palantir to take out these tops. Bit of a sideways action since it made the high. Could always just pull right back into VWAP too. Give us that entry. I have no issues with trying that one off of VWAP with its relative strength. Fluffy Hippo, why don't you have bids put in? So I can have,
What?
Well, I'm assuming you mean Palantir. Okay, well, so look, it's consolidating up 37. It's going to have to drop 0.5% to even get to VWAP. If it's really tight to VWAP and it's already there, I'd probably have a bid in, but it needs to make a move to get there, so I'm not just going to sit with it. I could have a stop order for the breakout set right now. Usually I want it to break the consolidation, move into it, and then I'd set the order. But like it would look something like this. Like if I have a stop order through the high, like you'll be able to see it. Like I can put it in now and show you. Like it's going to look something like that, right? Like if it breaks the high, I'm crossing the 21s, 22s. It's just diddling in the middle. And what I don't want to have happen is it does absolutely nothing. I forget about the stop order, and it's not imminently breaking, and next thing you know, I forget it, and it gets triggered late. It happens every now and then. No, it's just there's not at a level that I want to be bidding the stock yet. So I'm not going to do it, but I do like this Intel. Now it's back underneath the 30. I want this underneath 23.30. That's the key price, and it's right back underneath at that 28 level. Fluffy Hippo, what about next resistance?
Fluffy Hippo.
I know you mean on Palantir. I'm on the offer of Intel. You obviously mean what about the next resistance for PLTR up top?
Have a look.
I think there is resistance up here, but it's at like 37.40, 37.50. On Palantir, you could break that local high. That's almost 1%. Like the stock's up 0.5% today. You know, that's a good move. So I don't mind it. If this level here, that double top, was at 25 and not 50, then I probably don't like the long. But it's not. It's a good ways away, a good 1% move from that high of the daybreak.
All right, so we'll just hit this. You can probably see it at the bottom if you're following. We do have a new position. It's not the futures. Sorry, I almost said the futures. It's NVIDIA. So I don't know. We're underneath VWAP right here. We just could have taken a little bit out there at 90s. We did not do it. We should have maybe just for a dime. I put some more there. I want to give this, I don't really want to reload it till 20s. I want to give this one a little bit of room. So again, we're just going to do the same kind of thing that we did before. Use a little bit less shares, wait for this thing to come through. If we're able to watch out for this at the 200 period, we'll give this a little bit of love up to 50 for it to break. So we got to start taking bigger position as we get closer. So that level, the 200 period right there, is at 35. So we're going to go short here at 20, just a little bit more, watching out for that top side break. If we can break up there, then we're going to get out. Look at what's happening here on the 20-minute chart. 50 period moving average, sloping down. So let's just wait to see if NVIDIA wants to break. It's definitely at a decision point. It is my number one stock, yes. So it's still ahead of the futures right now. And here it comes. So we get another short. So now we're short at 120.08. It is right here. So we're going to give this up to, we're going to take a little bit more into the 30s, and then that's it. And then stop that. And again, be comfortable with the position that we have. I mean, we do not have very many shares. Again, we have about a third to 25% of what we would have had in the morning. And we're at the highest spot we've been at all day for NVIDIA, thanks to this little short. We probably should have waited for the 200 period to come through on the 1 minute chart. It's definitely a level that we normally play with. But for right now, we don't have that level. So we'll wait for it. Here we go. Did we get some more short? Not yet. We should be getting some right now at 35s. We just got missed upside there at 35. So boo-hoo on that one. But let's wait to see if we get a little bit more short. And then we're stopped out if this breaks 50. So one last try here as the futures are trying to go for a run as well, right? They're trying to get up to VWAP. So, you know, we'll give it a shot. I'm going to try some 31s here and cancel some 35s because I don't want to miss it. There it is. Now we get it. Now we'll probably get 35s. And we sit on our hands here and see what happens. We're going to take roughly a 30-cent worth of hit here against that trade for NVIDIA. So we'll find it out. So right there, we're short at 120.20. Good. We're pretty happy with that. Now let's see where we go. NVIDIA looking to take out the top, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, not everything. A lot of things are bouncing. I shouldn't say everything because I've looked at a few stocks that are still relatively weak. DJT is about to take out the highs
here we go.
Right now. I'm like 99% sure. You know that when you're like, did I turn off the oven when you left the house? Mm-hmm. That's how I'm feeling about the DJT shorts this morning. It's like I'm pretty sure I paid for them. When I'm done talking in a couple of seconds, I'm going to double check. I'm like 99% sure I did.
Offer and see.
That's just a fair point. Yeah. You should put a test order every single time. Okay, I paid for it. But I'm not using them here. Someone asked, are you shorting this high? No. So this is a relatively strong stock. Clearly, when the market dipped, it did in its higher lows into a flat top break there, which it's breaking the high as we speak, albeit it might have just rejected it by a penny. Yeah, it looks like it just got to the high of the day and went a half a cent, and then that was pretty much it. But it's a strong move. I think the levels that I wanted to see if it went parabolic was going to be above 17, maybe into 18, 19. So if something crazy happens this afternoon, DJT has a decent chance to get there. Rivian's not going. Palantir just all of a sudden, that last push up in the market. No, it kind of didn't go.
Oh, okay.
That last push up in the market, Palantir decided not to participate, and it's just holding on to this 37 level. So no breakout into the high of the day, unfortunately. Yeah, it's kind of just going sideways in that last move. I don't know what's dragging us up overall into the future. It's like I was looking at that Google that you were mentioning. Mm-hmm. Like that's pulling back into VWAP.
Is it now?
Yeah, so that's pulling back into VWAP. Like you look over at Microsoft when that loads, and here that just lost VWAP. So you're getting some kind of pullback in some of the other NASDAQ names. So I'm not sure what's dragging us the rest of this move here. When you're losing VWAP on Softy and you're pulling back, as we just said, on Alphabet, those aren't the ones that seem to be going. Yeah, DJT just, okay, now it's through that high.
Of the day, right? Yeah.
But this is not very parabolic. It's a little bit controlled for DJT. I'm looking for some kind of a big parabolic move up more than this. I know it's up 70 cents. It looks great. It's 8%. But for this stock, I want to do something crazy squeeze-wise before even thinking about slapping a trend line on it for a reversion. And it's 3 o'clock. It might never happen. Like this is theoretically possible. It just goes Squeezeville and I don't go long. Because oh well. Look at it break. Of course, when I stare at it now, it's starting to make a bit of a parabolic move. So DJT on nothing, or no news that I'm aware of, breaking through the highs.
All right. I'm going to take something out for flat here at 20 if we can get it on, there we go, on NVIDIA. Sorry, 21s there, 20s, because we wound up taking some shares up there. It came to the level that we really thought, not that we didn't think we would get. I mean, we obviously thought we would get it. That's where we averaged in. We were sitting there, but we could have just been more short at the 200 period moving average. Let's not like let this thing get sort of sour on us here. And give back we never give back our day, but give back even anything to be wrong. The futures did have that move up. Would love to see this thing retrace just a little bit. We'll sit here in the teens. I'm also at 11s. Maybe we get a dip down, just one more move, and I think that we'll be able to clean out a little bit more of this and then be able to hold. Again, we got a little bit carried away up there at the top end of this trade. So we're just going to make sure that we can get a little bit out now, which we just did, into a little bit more of a comfortable position. Thing is, we held it all the way back to flat. So at least now we have the right amount of shares as it pulls back in. So we're now comfortable with this trade. And now we can hold it. And I heard on the midday show, what a great midday show it was again today with Joe. And I hope you guys enjoyed him. He'll be around for hopefully quite a while. But he had mentioned, he said to Sharif, when Sharif sort of got out of a losing trade that he had, and he said that was like a professional trade. And I just think that when you're sitting here, there's a difference between like retail trading and prop trading and all that. Like I have, again, like over 200 fills today. So sometimes you have the ability to change your mind on what you're reading out, right? And if something changes, there's no point in sitting there and being the last one to the party when you didn't really like it in the first place. So that's the one thing you always got to make sure that you do, sort of assess what you're doing and make sure that you are putting on as many professional trades as possible. So there it is. Nice move down. Yes, yes, yes. Boom. There it goes. Nice move downside right now for NVIDIA as we go clapping on that one. Oh, yeah, baby. There it is, Neil. We flush to the downside and there goes NVIDIA. So we take that trade down and there it goes, right? So again, from talking, just really calm down and everything is all fine to it finally breaking back down in there. And then we get to pay for those Blue Jay tickets of ours. So nice move to the downside here as we continue to try to break through 120. We just got some 120 fills. We talk about professional trades. Feel like that might have been one right there. So good call so far. Let's see what happens with the futures now.
Yeah, the future's rolling over that level. We got back into Intel. It just tagged the 20s, but this is a higher low for Intel. And you have to respect the fact that there was that bottoming tail candle and reversal. So when it rolls back in, the short off of 23.3, or 23.3 down into the twos, look at the immediate bounce off of 20s. Like there's the dip down that you just heard Sean talking about, and it's right back up most of the move. I am still in Rivian, so it's holding on to VWAP. That last down move, wicked VWAP, and then bounced again. I wish I could tell you Palantir is doing something. It's doing absolutely nothing. DJT doesn't care about the markets. But if all we do is wick that bottom and that flush, and we're right back into the resistance level, I don't know, we could be headed a leg higher. So I'm not going to reload Intel. I'm just going to stop it out above that local high. Palantir, which we wanted for a long trade, I don't know what to tell you. Like it's just now not doing anything. Like it's just so weird because it was so strong off of VWAP, and then now the market's starting to go, and it's going sideways. But I still like the breakout. It's just becoming less and less likely that it wants to make it. If it breaks it, I guess we'll have it. That might have been the chance to short DJT. I thought it was going to make a breakout above 16 and do something. Going 8 cents above $16 even is not enough for me to try the short. I thought it was going to really squeeze some people to the upside. So really all we did is take out half of Intel back into the low of the day. If we get one more push down, I think that'll take us into the low, and then we can hold for 23 even, which I'm still pretty convinced the stock is headed for eventually. Previous support, the 50 period sits at like 22.5, would be logical to retest that if this is another fail at that 24 level on INTC. So got to be patient with Palantir. I mean, just because it looks strong and I like it doesn't mean it's actually going to give you a long trade.
Oh, wow. Yeah, good coverage there on Palantir. Whew. That was fun. That was a lot of fun there on NVIDIA. So we just got some more outs there at 20. Wow, when that cracked lower there, those were some good fills, man. We had to get rifling on the keys. And again, we want to say thank you to our sponsor, Real Trading, again, man, because without this platform, like there's no way. Bang, 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 like those kind of outs. We had a whole bunch down there. 03, O's, 04s. That might have been our best, might have been 04. I don't know how low we got. It looks like we might have got 95s. Maybe on a little bit of a break there. So right now, man, we have like 20% left of this trade right now on NVDA. So wow, yeah, man, put it up. Now NVIDIA is the number one stock. Well, it's always been the number one stock, but now it's by far pretty clear there. So is this the first time? Well, so again, the Powell speech, I think a lot of things have changed now. We've talked about that, and this is just an answer to Tomas there in the chat. Was this the first time the market's gone down since Powell talked or on a Powell speech? No, I mean, it doesn't really, again, it's a lot of it is just like the heat of the market, right? Like if the market is kind of flat and then he comes out and says something, that will create some kind of an actionable spot, right? I mean, this is when Powell started, that prepared speech hit was right here at 2 o'clock, right? So at 2 o'clock, the market was basically flat, right? I mean, here's where the market opened and here's where we were. So just a little bit of a talk there. And I don't know, a lot of the words that I heard were relatively positive. So again, just volatility needs sometimes reasons to spike. And that's why you got to sit there in these names. And that's why that's not why I'm here. Well, hopefully that's part of the reason why I'm here is to give some of these ideas and some of these trades. But at the end of the day, we just sort of trade the market that's in front of us, man. And we've been feeling pretty, the word blessed always gets religious, obviously, for obvious reasons, but just feel
there's nothing wrong with the
happy
word blessed.
or just like, okay. But just fortunate is the word. Fortunate to have had the opinion there that the market was going to go southbound. And we found some names and we hit it and it worked out. So this is the same thing, like I said, as Satya and Obi there, is just sometimes you got to have the right way. And if you can have the right way, then that's half the battle. And after that, you just find the direction. If that works, then you should have a positive day. You just got to make sure you hit the right levels and the right names. And that's why I've drifted a lot over to the futures, because then I can still play names on catalysts. But if I have the right direction, then I should be rewarded with the futures, right? And so that's the big thing for me, and that's one of the changes that's helped me at least pick up on a few things. So yeah.
Great monologue. It was so good I wanted to get the popcorn out, but I was kind of hungry.
Got the banana, though?
I got the banana out there, which of course
is that
maybe
from Randy this morning? Or
yeah, it's
or
the one
new
this morning. I'm just a little hungry, but of course
it's a little hard though, no?
It's a little bit,
right.
but I just wanted something. I don't know. I've got the aftermarket show, and then I got physio, so I just wanted a little something extra.
Yeah, man.
Oh, but Fabian, of course, taking the time to make sure that it was on the buddy shot, even though you were talking the second I opened it up. So the whole time while you're talking, rightfully so, it was on you, and then literally the second I peel it, go to take a bite, like there it goes. So I said I was not going to reload Rivian unless I saw some strength off of it.
Banana,
but it just lost. No, it's not a big deal. I love the fact that they're Johnny on the spot. Usually it's Ramin that gets me with that.
He's pretty good.
But Fabian, he caught me as well. No, but Rivian, no reload. And it's the same reason the first time through I didn't reload Intel. Because you don't necessarily, I'd rather be buying it, and it'd be kind of like a flattish trade because it kind of worked and then it didn't get to the high. But at the end of the day, I want to see it strong before buying it again, as opposed to just sitting on the bid. Ultimately, the first look has been short. I don't mind going long a strong stock, but then the other thing was I'd identified saying, hey, Palantir just kind of looked better as a stronger name. If we're going to make a move down, this is going to possibly give you VWAP as well. Do not need to fight this as it's losing VWAP. I can only imagine Tesla after all of this. Oh, no, never mind. Okay, Tesla did hold on to the 258 level. I was expecting to flip the Tesla and see this move having caused it to be under 58, but Tesla catching a little bit of a bid here. That's actually not bad at all. Rohit, please advise how to pick a stock for day trade, high volume stock versus news-based stock. Depends on your strategy. If you're going to be, let's say, you're trading the small cap gappers, those types, oftentimes, you don't necessarily need it to be the highest volume. If it's got a good enough catalyst and its relative volume is good, and it's, maybe it's got a short flow and all that kind of good stuff, and it's breaking good levels, that can be just as good as if it was the volume leader. I can't tell you how many times you look at those gappers and the stock that was doing the most volume at, say, 845 of the small cappers, but it's not trading at a good level and it's not trending and its catalyst was kind of weak. Well, it doesn't matter that it was doing a bunch of volume pre-market. That was just a bunch of people getting trapped. I want to see the one that's got that really good catalyst, maybe the smaller float or the bigger short float. So I think you've got to worry about your trading style. Was there really a catalyst on Tesla today? Not really, but Tesla bounced off a good level, right? So Tesla in play, because it's Tesla, always does pretty good volume, relatively speaking. No, it's just bounced off a good level and broke out a good one and then gave you another trade off of a good level. If there was no catalyst, was there a catalyst on Intel? Not really. It traded off of good levels and has been doing good volume on a consistent basis since, since that. Since this on Intel, volume has been great, and then especially since that Samsung story. NVIDIA, you're going to get volume every single day. But I feel like it depends on it depends on your trading style. If you're a support and resistance trader, is it doing good relative volume lately when it's trading at the level? Sometimes that's all you really need. If you are a low float, or if you're trying to trade those small cappers, sometimes it's more about, does it have the right catalyst and then the continuation pattern setting up your technical trade than just saying, well, I want the gapper that's done the most volume at 9 o'clock in the morning. I actually think that's zero correlation with success on those small cappers. because it could just be churning volume, and then it's a bit of a pump and dump, and you're just trapping people.
Yeah, again, good answer there. You always want to look for different reasons. It's not, every day is going to be different, right? It's like, you know, some days, again, the catalysts are so great, and you have to pick like which stock you want, and then other days, you know, you look down and you say, okay, maybe this is a day where I use less share size or put on less risk due to the way it's profiling out. You might have just heard me under my breath there. I said, don't do that again. And what I meant was saying myself is, please, Sean, stop bidding and getting out. So we're short NVIDIA right now. See, now I'm down to like about 20% left, again down here. And it just, I look at this and I'm like, all right, it's 310, happy obviously with the day, like very, very happy with the day. Oh, and by the way, very, very good point there by everybody in the chat. And I apologize because people have been talking about it this whole time. Yeah, it's quarter end, right? It's month end today. So it could be a little bit of window dressing coming through. We talked about all the major markets up this month. Again, when this is seasonality, the first time in 5 years, you're going to get that happening. So what was a disastrous first of the month, and it was my worst day in months there, the very first day of this month, turned out to be a great recovery now for the NASDAQ. To the point where even, you know, stocks like NVIDIA that were all the way down here. This was the beginning of the month in NVIDIA, 106, 107, and we dipped down into 101, 102 before recovering basically 25% and now dripping back, but that's still up 20%, right? So a lot of these names could get, you know, again, a little bit more, a little bit less at the end of the day. I'm not sure there's going to be any dramatic moves here into close. I think no matter which your positioning is on these names, you're pretty happy with the performance this so far here in September, with historically it being a negative month. So it's been good so far. Options will be will be expiring today as well. So just get that tongue twister out of there. But yeah, so after all of that, just be careful with everything that you're doing, especially here in the last 40 minutes. We do have the imbalances coming out, and we can have a quick look now at them.
So
whoa!
About that,
did you do some
I knew this
research
was
on this?
I knew this was going to happen when you saw this BBWI.
Yeah.
It's going from the It's going from the S&P 500.
Okay.
To, I don't know the name of the company. I have no idea. But going from the S&P 500 to the S&P 600 small. So it's expected to be a 4.5 million net share
How
sell.
expensive is this stock?
Yeah,
$31.
well, that could be something.
So it's a deletion.
No, it's moving from the 500 to the 600. So it's not like a true deletion.
Probably
It's-
add more shares, probably.
Yeah, well, it's saying a net share sell.
Oh, moving from the 500 to the 600. Yeah, 600 would be weaker.
Yeah, weaker. So it's a 4.5 million sell expected. It's already coming out at 5.2 million. So that could be something. Because it's at least the right direction, right? Like if it had been a buy and you're expecting a sell, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. But this BBWI makes me think of the Baseball Writers Association for some reason. But let's go to Adara.
BBW.
Watch out for DJT here. This is Trump Media and Technology Group. This one getting a little bit of a volume increase here, especially around that candle at 257 on the 3-minute chart. As we kind of head into the close, going from upside volume to downside volume, we had our presidential nominee here, Donald Trump, who is, of course, the major shareholder of DJT, discussing hurricane relief efforts with regards to Hurricane Helene in Georgia. So Donald Trump making comments. This started at 2 p.m. This is going on for over an hour, but just be aware, seems like those comments could be moving DJT as it gets a bit of a volume increase as we enjoy Power Hour here, guys.
Like it's not that this matters at all. I got one more bid before the low of the day on Intel, and then we'll hold for the low. But why would the Baseball Writers Association of America need to be of America? At the time that it would have been founded, there wouldn't have even been Canadian teams, I don't think. Like, it was founded in, like, 1908. It was...
Even if it was founded today, they wouldn't probably...
But, like, where else?
I mean, it would still be BBWAIO.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
No, but BBWI has absolutely nothing to do with that. I just... It's actually Bath and Body Works, which I guess makes that that downweight make a heck of a lot more sense. It's Bath and Body Works. Doesn't matter what the short float is, but you can imagine the stock gets moving from the S&P 500 to the S&P 600. The chart looks on the weekly pretty much exactly what you would expect it to look like. There's no point in me showing it to you. It's not pretty. Triple bottom, I guess if you bought that, you were good for like 3 days or three bars to the upside, but that's nasty. That was an $80 stock a couple of years ago, now down at 31. So last bid before the low of the day there on Intel, 23.15s. It's trying to bounce again off of the top, but this one's still looking relatively weak. I think we have a chance to get to the low of the day before we get the imbalances coming out. But if we bounce higher low and it's 333, well, if it's like 340 right before the imbalances, I don't know that I want to reload this at the same price right before that 350 imbalance number. It's going to have to make some kind of an entry point before that. Palantir is running out of time to do anything at this point, but you know what? You're not forced to trade it. And maybe it's even better. It might be better if Palantir, it already held once, hold a higher low, consolidate here, give the breakout tomorrow morning. I like breakout trades in the morning better anyway. So, if it doesn't take out that high, going sideways or even dipping into the higher low and holding that can set up a break for tomorrow on PLTR. But as you can see, it was at 37 when I brought it up. It's at 37.04 right now. It's been as low as 36.94. It was just hanging out 5 cents above 37, 5 cents below 37 and doing nothing. But you're not forced to trade it here at all. Hey, that's a great name. You almost got me to say that and trigger everyone's devices there. With pending strikes in eastern ports, any suggestions which shipping companies to play? You know what? Sometimes the right answer is I don't know. I don't really know. I'm not a repository on good shipping companies, but I feel like when you're reacting to news like that, yeah, sometimes looking for that relative weakness makes sense. In the chat, there's been some discussion about looking at infrastructure plays with Helene obviously disrupting and causing a lot of damage down south and up the coast. So I think those are the kinds of things that make sense. And I think with rates going down, and it being election year, some of those infrastructure plays might end up being good in a general sense anyways. But I don't really know the shippers to play for that. I just think your heart's probably in the right place. But yeah, sometimes the answer is I don't know. And we have a great community that I'm pretty sure is going to name some in there. And Neil Shaw just said Zim. Yeah, I know Zim. Zim's a good squeeze name. Usually when the other ones start going, that's a good place to play Zim for squeezes, but I don't know anything. Fundamentally, I'm not going to sit there and recommend the stock when I've only ever looked at it as a squeeze.
Adara?
BWI, you get a bit of a volume increase on this the most recent, the last two, 3-minute candles here. I am not seeing any specific news with regards to that switch out, that move from the S&P 500. I saw one tweet about it from 8 hours ago. Still looking to confirm this story, but just a note right now, not seeing much, if anything, with regards to BBWI and its place in the S&P 500, guys.
Yeah, it's just in our research notes.
So it was the 600. It's not the S&P. That's why. I think it's Russell. Russell 600, you said? Or is it S&P 600?
Well, I have it. Hold on, let me go back to it.
It's in the S&P 500 going down to the 600s, we think. So anyways,
SPX
Adara's on it. We'll figure it out. But that's going to be an imbalance play for sure there. We can see if there's any sort of reaction to it. So I don't know, man. Whoever had made up that diamond hands thing was not probably trading NVIDIA or trading these markets. I don't know, man. I feel like every single short, we talk about this over and over again. Every time you're in a short, you're fighting the Fed, and yeah, I know we've been short today. I know we've made good money short, but right now, the market just wants to go up. We only have, like I said, about 15% left of this trade. I'm actually going to clear it if it takes this 120.30. I'll give a little bit back on what unrealized, but I'm not going to turn this around. So I'm just going to start to cancel. Our first stop was at 50. Now let's put it in right here, 120.36. Get out of everything, and then we'll end this trade, which has been a great trade. We topped it up. We got super excited when it came down here. We had about 20% left. We got out of another piece there. Now we have 15%. So we'll give this back. Again, you can't win if you don't take any shots. So we're taking a shot right now at this stock, and we thought it could go lower. It didn't, so fine. We talked about reloading the queues. We didn't do that, but we did get out. That could have been something there as well. No earnings tonight, which kind of, it doesn't suck. There's really never earnings on a Monday. So we'll have Michael Noss, I think, should be a good one for you.
Well, it turns out we don't need earnings to have fun in the aftermarket show.
Those are the best ones are without earnings, but when we have crazy earnings,
that's
when you want to be here because
like NVIDIA.
You hold it. Yeah, we'll bring up live again, either live level 2s or live charting. for all the stocks that are bumping and grinding in the after hours. And
I don't see nothing wrong with that.
No, exactly. You don't see nothing wrong. I also don't see nothing wrong with Intel. Remember that day that they had that news with Amazon, and then they were breaking out? There was the Oracle news. There was all that. There was news after hours. So you
every
know,
now and then,
yeah, every now and then we fall apart. And then so does stocks. And today they're not really falling apart. They're hanging around. Oh, there it is. All right, so we are now out of that one. So we'll just go back. Good day for us on NVIDIA. We give back, it sucks to give back something there, but that trade does not turn red. Nice move now. We'll wait to see what happens with NVIDIA on the reload. We're now out of that and pretty happy with it. It's 3:20, just a couple more minutes to go. But what we'll do right now is we would like to thank our sponsor, Trade the Pool. You can scan the QR code right now on your screen, get updated from Trade the Pool. Right now, it's even easier to get funded. As you know, Trade the Pool built a unique program to evaluate stock traders like yourself and provide you with the company funds to trade with. It's real shares, and you no longer need to worry about the PDT rule. But that is not all. I have some this is very exciting news for all of you today. Trade the Pool has introduced a new tier with $20,000 in buying power, making it much easier to pass the evaluation and speeding up the process of getting funded. That's right, it is that simple, and it works. You don't want to miss this opportunity. Scan the QR code, as I said, on your screen, or click the link in description for more information. We would like to thank Trade the Pool. So, yeah, a couple opportunities there. If you're located, worldwide, scan that, see your eligibility as well with Trade the Pool. And of course, then Real Trading located here in Canada and outside of the US as well. That's the platform that we're on. Right now is through Real Trading and P Pro. So that's what we're doing right now. We also have the campus program available. So lots of opportunities to check out. Click on all of those links in our description. Also, Michael Noss's link with trade ideas there, 20% off.
And we use it every single day. That's the thing. When we talk about Benzinga, we use it every day. We use trade ideas every single day, and that's what's the best thing about it. For everybody, there's a tool for every job, and you want to make sure you have the right ones. Whether it's your platform, your charting. For us, I want to have good stop orders, reliable executions. I have to look. Intel's looking okay. I'm gonna get there in a second because that last bump up in the market, Intel decided not to participate. So I think we can hold this one to the close. But Zim was actually breaking out. Like I didn't. And again, when talking about the shipping names, I just know Zim because this is the one. I'm pretty sure this is the one that went the most squeezy, if that's even like a term. Just a couple of years ago. But yeah, like this one, I remember this one was going absolutely parabolic. Let me zoom it out there. You can see going parabolic. This does look like a pretty decent technical break on Zim. Like on a weekly chart, like this is your 200 period moving average that is just now breaking above. Now keep in mind, you just had the only close on a weekly above the 200 period moving average since August of 2022. Like it's actually been 2 years since this stock has closed above the 200 period on the weekly, and it just happened, and then it proceeded to now take out the top today. So yeah, this is actually a very good looking, I suppose, technical break. I promised I'd go back into Intel or back over Intel. As with that last bump up in the market, this is what Intel did. Not much of anything, so still hanging out the lows. I'm not bidding at the low of the day anymore. I feel like if it breaks that, we're headed to 23 even, as this just continues to be it's not good. You were in the midst of a breakout. I think a lot of people, myself included, would have thought, okay, this move where it broke this consolidation would have been stronger. So when it broke out 23.30, I wasn't expecting this to get to $30 or anything. I would have said that a few times. You're not filling in the gap here because I think there's going to be a lot of people that want to look for the exits when there's a good opportunity to do so. But at least holding this 23.3 and maybe getting to $25, is that too much to ask? Apparently the answer is yes. The good news for anybody in Intel is the 50 period should provide potential theoretical support at $22.50, but it's still relatively weak. There was that. I want to double check. This is just for me. Just checking to see if that Capri is taking out the top. No, not really. Capri's still going. There was just an update on that, on the Capri deal. it's not really blowing out the tops and do anything parabolic. I want to see if volume could have come back into this, but as you can tell, what you want for a well, okay, speak for myself. When you have like a news continuation play, like if I'm looking for something that's spiked on news and I want to take higher lows or a breakout on it, well, what I don't want to have happen is when it looks like an entry, for it to be doing absolutely no volume at 324. So generally speaking, you're not going to do the same as you get the volume spike on news. That's just not how it works. But you could at least be doing twice as much as it is somewhere in this range. Would indicate that there's at least some interest in the stock when it's going back into the highs and trending higher. You're getting the opposite of that, volume dying down here. I don't think there's going to be a trade in Capri. And then Bob Curran asking about CAPR. It's an interesting coincidence.
Is that the same stock? What is it?
No, it's just like Capri's one I was looking at because it was a buyout with the news, and then all of a sudden, we'll call it Caper. I don't know what the name of the stock actually is. Capricorn Therapeutics.
Okay.
Is also trading off of the highs, at the highs, shouldn't say off the highs. They report, oh, nice, November 7th.
Ooh, what?
It's my mom's,
far away.
Oh, well, it's my mom's birthday on
nice.
the 7th. You know what? You know who else's birthday it was? That was Valeria's birthday.
November
she
7th.
Yeah, she shared her birthday with my mom. Yeah, so they report a while from now, but it's a 25% short float, up 55%. I'm going to make the strong assumption that the midday was probably at least looking at this, but wow, that's not the chart I'm expecting to see usually when I'm talking about a name with 25% short float. Like I expect to pull this up, see your nice little downward slope and then a breakout. Instead, the question I'm asking myself is, why not long? Like when this broke $8. Why were we not looking at this? Probably you guys were yelling at us about it, I'm guessing, and we were trading some bigger cap tech names. But yeah, this last week, like here that looked interesting on volume, dipping back into 8 because 8 was a big level on that daily, and then a continuation after that. Then it does the lull you into a sense of it's doing nothing anymore and a pullback, and then does a technical break. You can never, when a stock like this starts going, a squeeze name, and it's a strong move like this, when it pulls back and then just very, very quietly holds the prior highs and just doesn't give it back, you gotta, when the volume picks up, you wanna be on moves like this because a lot of people here are like, it's not doing anything anymore and the interest is gone. Then it just starts squeezing and too late once it's already starting to go. But great look on this CAPR, I should say. I just don't see a trade up here. I'm not chasing this. It's 330. Maybe it's something you could look at later, but that's already, like, what are you going to do? You're not going to chase this all the way up at the top. Like, that's insane. It's a $5 stock last week. Triple already.
Yeah, crazy there. I mean, that can get going easily. Some of these names, I don't even know if you looked at the short float.
25%.
25, okay, yeah. So
huge.
Wow, okay, so days to cover probably quite nice as well there. All right, so there's NVIDIA. We talked about it. We only hold that 15% back. We get stopped out, but it looks like that stop out was the high. So hopefully, you guys learned there that can happen. And when you have those ticks, sometimes they're great for you when you have the bottom like that, and other times not great there. But still, even us getting out there was still a winner. It was 3 or 4 cents. But at the end of the day, we did throw away probably, realistically, we could have got out right there at like 96. That would have been 30 cents. So we did a little bit poor of a move there, so we will not be at our highest spot, but NVIDIA still is number one as we go. So that was a good one soon with NVIDIA. So far, so good. Neil talked about, I believe, this stock earlier today because we were looking at it, or maybe it was the midday show, but Disney, again, up to $96. I mean, that was quite a move. Like, it kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't notice that we were just on this kind of a march there, and we sort of didn't do much at the beginning of last week, and all of a sudden we broke 94, and then this morning, like, is that right? Were we up to 97-ish this morning? Yes, we were. So, wow. So that first opening run there, we got to 97 change there, 97.50. Like, that is a monster move for Disney, really on nothing. I don't think they're winning any streaming wars or anything like that. But hey, Disney, man, nice move upside as on what? I don't really know, but we did have Nelson Peltz and we did have some board members in there. They've been talking about year of efficiency as well as they were cutting jobs. They're trying to clean up that theme park sort of business a little bit. The business is great, but a lot of expenses over there associated with that business. So as they try to clean that up, you could see Disney nice move up. And then we had Carnival today, which was another good name for Adara sort of did here. And I like what she was doing in the middle of the day. They're going over some earnings plays that maybe we missed or people are interested in. Carnival, nice move up to 1920 and then all the way down to 1750 right there. So quite a violent move, man. It's like 15% up and down, only to say, you know what, we're not even going to do anything today. Down 1.65% as CCL. I look at this and I don't know, man. I think it already hit this top. We talked about this last week. Remember, we looked at RCL, CCL, and we looked at is there a Carnival cruise, or not a Carnival cruise, but like a cruise line ETF? I don't think there is, but there's a travel and leisure one. 19, and then we also looked at Jets ETF. I thought it was getting a little top heavy today. Maybe that report confirms it. So let's see if CCL can get under its own sail there, because right now it is making lower lows, trying to get 18. Watch out if we break that 18 and hold underneath. Could be something there for tomorrow for sure. So yeah, man, that's Carnival right there. And
we got a super chat in here.
Disney had an upgrade.
There was an upgrade on Disney. I was just looking. Someone in the chat was just like Futu's moving. So that was me. Pulling up Futu. Although, man, this stock really gave it up too. Like, there's so many things that were, things that were running strong in the morning and that looked like crap after that. Like, look at this at VWAP on Futu. Like, that's why we talk about VWAP all the time. You break trend, there's your support, there's your support. If the same level on a stock that trended up in the morning, that support twice, if that same level ends up being VWAP, in the other direction, that's usually a great looking short opportunity because it's support into resistance and it's VWAP on top of that. But I wanted to get to the super chat. That was the point of this. It was David in here, asked about the moving numbers and colors, meaning #sad. Meta again going to drop by close. Zuck said you can borrow his yacht too. I'm pretty sure he's not actually going to let us borrow the yacht. And then we all Rohit as well. Thank you for the super chat as well, Rohit. Thanks. I've learned more from this channel than the 2 books I read earlier in the year. Biggest takeaway, focus on price actions, not bulls or bears. Price doesn't lie. At the end of the day, that's all the market is. It's a bunch of people making decisions at prices, and you want to make the decisions on the right stock at the right price and then go from there. That's all you can ever do there, Rohit. And shout out to you, David. I guess you don't want Meta to go to the downside.
What?
None of us actually want Meta to go down. Just in the moments that you're in shorts, you can be happy for it. Don't know if... Okay, we are ready for it, Dare. Let's go over to the screen.
We're going to look at this sector board for the final time during the trading session. Definitely more red than it was the last 2 times we took a look. And we're going to take a look the last time today at some of these larger S&P 500 movers, the upside and the downside. Starting off with a downside move here in FCX. This is Freeport McMoran delaying its copper production at its Myanmar smelter plant here due to some water and steam leakage concerns. We also have a downgrade for the stock from Scotiabank with a sector perform rating and a $52 price target. So FCX, not 1 but 2 negative catalysts, setting this one down about 3%. We also have here BEN. This is Franklin Resources, getting a sell rating here from Goldman Sachs, the $21.25 price target. So price target decrease, maintain sell for BEN. Last but not least, we have Baxter, BAX, this company impacted here by the situation with Hurricane Helene in North Carolina, where they have one of their facilities. So BAX reacting here, and as of yesterday, updating with regards to its operations, trading lower today as a result of that, guys.
Okay, so now I understand what David meant in his super chat. With regards to first of all, I don't think I saw a single green. Like, there's a bunch of gray stocks for flat on that sector board. I don't think I saw anything that was actually green on it, which is weird. There was a lot of gray in there. So if it was up a little bit. But yeah, when you got the China stimulus, there were a lot of names that were going with like basically anything that was like, where's the green name? There you go. No,
Google might be.
Like there's gray, which means that you're close enough to.
There's green names, man. Google's up right now.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I was like, what? Yeah, there's plenty of stuff that's up. That's what was confusing me about that.
Yeah.
I guess you have to zoom in a little bit. Yeah,
Apple's up, Palantir's up, Google's up, Shopify's up, Oracle, Meta's up.
I'm assuming the gray just means that you're underneath a certain percentage. Maybe it's like 2% or 3%. I have no idea. Anyway, so on Freeport, pullbacks, so everything China pulling back. well, all the resource names that were up on the China stimulus also going to be pulling back alongside with it, right? So this makes perfect sense. These broke out last week. I know a lot of people were pretty excited about it. Look at that 46 break on Freeport. You want to see if this can start holding some of those higher lows for another leg up. But I think some, let's just call it reasonable dips after what was a parabolic move in many of these. All right. Either you break the low or there's nowhere else to go. So this is now the low again. This is exactly where Intel bounced before, $23.11. If it bounces off this here, I'm getting out probably at the 15s. It's 3:35. We're getting a bit late in the day. Realize I have a stop on Mara, which I'll go ahead and cancel because we're not actually trading Mara right now, and we don't want to get caught with that. So if we break the low, I'm holding to the even dollar. If we bounce off this low, then I'm giving it back to the mid-teens. Just said Alibaba. Yeah, we'll look at it. I'll look at anything you guys are interested in right now. I'm in one trade. I don't really see an entry. We're at that time of the day that I don't want the Palantir break at the high.
Yeah, really whatever these guys want.
Like, look at this. It's like, look at it slowly grind higher. Not a lot of volume into that break, so I'm going to sit that one out. But Alibaba, as I was just pointing out with Freeport, those Chinese ADRs all to the downside. BABA did go red today. Actually didn't even notice that. But it was trending down pretty much all morning long. I mean, I have $104 marked off from last week. It's a really good level because it was resistance to support. Maybe that's a good one tomorrow. You know, like we have these levels on the way up so that they come back and get retested. If it can find a bid off that 104, I think it looks pretty solid, at least to me. Miss Lucia and Vader Trader.
Vader Trader. Okay.
Asking about Micron. Ooh. Yeah, the force is not strong with this one. Micron, 5 points. Wow, that's a lot worse than the other chip names. Why is Micron so much worse? Here's what happens when you only look at Intel down 3 points. You assume that that's the worst one today. It's not. Assumptions make a you-know-what out of you and me. Micron down 5%.
There goes NVIDIA.
This probably should have been, I don't know. But we liked Intel more. It is what it is. Micron is taking it on the chin today. Already at the low of the day and breaking. Not a great look for it. When you pull up the daily chart, goes right into resistance and reverses, doesn't find a bid at the 200 period. The 50 period moving average will be about $98, which is prior resistance. That looks like a nice little bounce spot, 98 to 100 for Micron. A little bit better about this one and the up move that it had over Intel, but you still got to make a higher low on this pullback. Otherwise, it's all for naught.
Oh boy.
Red flag is TSLA.
Yeah, look at this, guys. I just wanted to indicate this. We had a good call here on NVIDIA. Now it's breaking lower. So we actually got out right there at the top. Now it's breaking lower. And we also had a pretty good call here as well on Google. Look what Google's doing. We said that we would take this 165 break potentially. It was the exact top there, 165. So if this is a name, again, that you were looking at, to trade here, maybe you just made something there. So let me know if you were able to go short there at all and if it worked out for you there on Google. I still don't mind the break long. I've canceled it. I'll watch it now just to see if like the thesis works out for us. Again, it's been a name that I've wanted to take on the break long, but now I just look at it. The reason why I say let's see if the thesis works out is that we have the imbalances coming, and we talked about it being month end and quarter end, so on and so forth. So when these imbalances hit, the stocks will go flying one way or the other. And I just don't want to be the wrong way. Like, what if Google looks great on the chart, all of a sudden there's a huge sell imbalance and I'm stuck long? Well, then I can't, get out of it, right? And so we have to wait to see as these will all populate. There's a lot of action on these, man. Like, these are all of 531. Look at this, millions of shares. TD Bank, Bank of Nova Scotia, right? 2 Canadian banks there. So there might be some Canadian imbalances tonight. CNQ, another Canadian name. BBWI right there as well. BCE, what? So is Canada doing something today or whatever? Because there are quite a lot of rebalance opportunities, or not rebalance, I shouldn't say that, imbalance opportunities right now on the New York books for Canadian banks. So we'll just, let me just have a quick look just to see if anything's happening with TD there. Again, no. So, it's not.
What the heck happened?
Nothing. I don't know.
Oh, that's
probably
not that
all
big
the
of a
banks that are doing that. I don't know. There's a little dip down. That's when Powell came and stuff. So,
no.
yeah, so we'll just wait to see. So there's BNS as well. So all these banks kind of just holding fort. We did see BCE, again, this Bell Canada, again, like AT&T. You guys might have heard of them, obviously, there in the United States as well. Probably some kind of businesses being operated there. Nice move downside there as well. So as a lot of these names come through, we had Rahim Alani talk to us about TELUS. It's not T. I can't remember what it is there in New York. But anyways, that was another name that he had brought up. But Rogers is another one. RCI would be Rogers. But there's Bell downside as well. So, yeah.
Oh, it's TU.
Oh, TU. Yeah. That's right. Duh.
What is this?
I should have known that. But anyways, Bell, the downside. We can look at TU. It was over an 8% or so dividend at the time. And I think it's even gone worse. Like, the stock's gone worse, maybe. So, okay. Well, yeah, I guess he was up here with 17 breaking out. Still in that same area here.
Oh, just one note, because now all of a sudden it's not this BBWI here. If you just showed the locator, right? I'm assuming SWN Southwestern Energy is now the big one at 11 million to sell. They have that deal closing with Chesapeake. So, and it's a share deal. So it's like you get Chesapeake shares. So it's an exchange of shares. That makes those very tricky. So the 11 million, BBWI is still the right direction. You're expecting it to be the downside, but this one I think could get a little bit tricky. SWN here for 11 million. And I know for a fact, PWSC, this is a cash buyout that is closing tonight. So like this one, if it prints a couple cents, that's, if it moves a couple cents, that's pretty much all you're expecting. It's a straight cash buyout for PWSC. This one's a share deal for, I just said it, Chesapeake. And Intel just trailed out. So I guess it's still catching a bid at the exact same bottom. Somebody likes buying $23.10 on Intel. So we're now out of that one. I don't think we'll get a reload up at the 30s again, but that was it. It was like a flat bottom break. And the good thing about it, whatever. Like sometimes you like the levels of confluence here, like the double bottom at 23, and then the shorts this afternoon at 23.30, and the shorts at 23.30. The only other way to trade this would have been to early on be going long off 23.30. But if you do that, then you're also probably long it here when it loses a bit, or you're getting trapped going into a long when it regains the bid. I find if you like a direction on the stock, just you can get out at a support level, look for a better place to get back in, or get in when it breaks the support. If you try to get cute about reversing everything, then you go from short to long the stock. It gives you VWAP a couple times, but then when it's a bad long, you're stuck in it, and it's like, oh, you should have just stuck with the short trade. So only about 9 minutes to go or 8 minutes to go till we get those imbalances for real. DJT's apparently not going to do anything parabolic. It is still at $16.10. So since we last looked at it breaking the high, it went down 15 pennies. It went up 15 pennies from the break, which for DJT, it is 1%, but up 9%. I'd call that a nothing burger afternoon for them, unfortunately.
All right, let's go sirens up right now. Look, you could have. If you like wings, someone in the chat said, did we watch the Bills game? Unfortunately, yeah, that's why I have a headache. Thankfully, I was facing James Cook, who had another horrendous, well, not another, he's been actually really good, but had a horrendous game. So did this guy right here, Josh Allen. But again, it's game script. It's not like there was.
You got like 8 fantasy points for me.
Yeah, 9, I think it was actually at the end of the day there. At least he was in my other pool. He had 9. So here's Josh Allen and company. Tonight we got Tennessee. So I have on the bench, I have Will Levis and Calvin Ridley. They both might just stay on the bench for the rest of the year. And then we have Tajay Spears going, which is very important. And we have Devin Achane.
You know who your team name should be? I have Achane in my other league.
Yeah.
My team name is Django Achane.
Well, but you see my name now. My name right here is Brocky Balboa.
I like that because you have Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers. So you mean Italian, Rocky Balboa. You got to try to stay with that. But I like
that
as well.
One too.
Django A-Chained. Yeah, that's a good one for sure. I didn't even think.
That's the entire point. Well, fantasy's for fun, but if you don't have a creative fantasy team name, to me, it's like a violation of league spirit.
And it's now 2 Monday night games.
The other one's Detroit, Seattle.
That's right. So that's Metcalf and Amon-Ra and all those guys coming through. And I'll be cheering for Seattle because of the NFC North, but at the same time, Detroit's a great team. So
I need K9, Kenneth Walker,
he's back
boy.
now.
He's back. I need Jameson Williams. I need Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, Jameson Williams.
And then I'm going up against Metcalf. We're playing the same guy. Metcalf and
Miami D.
Yeah, and the Miami D. So he has those 2 guys in 18 points.
The good thing about it is if Metcalf scores, then Miami D takes a little bit of a hit.
Well, that's the thing.
He kind of gets screwed. He gets.
I'm now passionate. He's a smart guy, but in fantasy.
Yeah, but I do that all the time. If you got to play your best. You're not starting that. You're not.
You got to play your best guy. I probably will fall asleep halfway through the games because Monday night, like the early one, fine, but the second one, like 8:30.
Yeah, I think it's
7:30
7:30 and 8:15 or something, but I have a meeting at 8, so I'll be there watching them anyways, but it should be.
Oh, we got another couple super chats in here. Thank you.
right.
Want to appreciate you. We have 5 minutes till the imbalances drop. But David, again, you keep playing Intel. I'm an investor, not a trader, but holding it since dip buy. Hedge fund bud thinks it's a loss I should eat. 50-day prediction. That's an interesting one. I think look, it's always going to be an if, because if they lose that bottom, the temporary bottom I think has been a really good one on Intel. And if it's able to hold on to that, I think this can at least test the 30 at some point. Like if you can hold on to this low, continue this trend of higher lows here, I think it's got to at least try to fill the gap. I just think it's a sell at 30. Just sort of think that's a big obvious resistance level. And then we got a second one here. Joe Bolton, love you guys. Would you mind checking out
What's up,
TAL?
Joe?
I just got Tao. So Chinese
Isn't that
education.
Chinese education? Yeah, I don't like that stock, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so, yeah, you know, we'll look at the technicals here, but this was like a squeeze name, the Chinese educational name. You just bought some calls. Good luck to you on that. I'm going to hit the like on that. So, okay, the good news is going up with everything else in the space. Like all the Chinese names are running, so that's where you want to get some sympathy on the squeezes. I don't know what the short float or the float size is here on TL. 6% short. That's a big float, 500 million, bigger than I would have thought. It's actually not bad if you look at where it managed to hold today on that daily chart. So it essentially just held on. Like look at last week's high. So there's your spike, there's your prior resistance. It holds that on a dime. I don't love here's the thing. I like the quality fundamental Chinese names to continue and withhold this drop. I don't necessarily know enough about this, except for the fact that it went squeezy to be able to make that call. Like I can tell you I like Alibaba, and I have no issues with Alibaba. It can dip a little bit, and I still think it's good. I like the trend back up here. I think it's made a bottom. This is a little bit more play it like a parabolic mover. So when it makes that high, if it loses the prior low off of that, I'd usually want out of the move. So that's about like 10, 15 or so. If you're in it from like the 50 period of when this all started, then technically you'd still be in the money. I don't know what you paid. Oh, you just got the calls on Friday. Okay, so you just
Friday, that's great then.
Oh, you just got in.
Get out. No, I was going to say I don't like the stock, but for calls, I mean.
Well, that's the thing. You got defined risk in there. I'm just more cautious with these as opposed to the Babas of the world. I think you're a little bit safer in those. Mm-hmm. I feel like a TL could come back and this would be under $9 in one and a half days.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Like tomorrow at some point. Whereas with Alibaba, it's just not going to happen. I think it's a much better and it's a better looking breakout. It's obviously making good money fundamentally and all that good stuff. Like even with this dip, like technically this still looks pretty darn good up there. So 3 minutes to go to the imbalances. I don't think anything new is going to happen.
Wow, look at this. Damn.
Yeah, the market's actually bouncing pretty decently here. I was going to double check. Palantir and that breakout of the high. This is why you don't necessarily take these late. So it broke the high, 37.15. It went to 37.20 and is right back to 37.15. So if you got it perfectly, you could have made 3.5 cents, maybe 4, and now it's not doing anything. So strong stock off VWAP. I guess you just had to buy 37 when it was all said and done.
Okay, guys, let's just honestly just trust thyself and we do that here. So it's all good, but look what's happening to Google. I said, let's not take it. We're too close to 350. It's a 30-cent hit, right? A runner right now. Could be a great take to end the day. It's too bad because even if I hit this with a couple hundred shares, it's still nice topping at the end of the day right here, up to 165.35. I mean, we would have got some out probably for 20 or so cents, but there it is, man. What a, I'm going to spin this. Is anybody that took this, congratulations. And I mean, we talked about liking it. There's the break right there, 165. Wow. Wow, Sean. I'll slap a big fail right there on myself for not taking this trade. I mean, we talked about it. We had it. We did not have it. We had it on our radar. I liked the trade. Even when it was up here, remember it was in the 80s and I was like, all right, I'm not going to take it because there wasn't enough time left in the day. Well, there was a lot of time left in the day and there still is a minute and a half to go before these imbalances. Darn it. There goes Google. Nicely done there. And again, at least we were staying away from the short. We got nothing short. We haven't made a trade in a minute here. So there's that NVIDIA. We cleared out of that a little while ago, so that turns out to be a great one, a great out. The TQs, I mean, come on, right down there after this short. We left it alone, but I just feel like we've had some great reads, and now we're just minutes away from seeing what goes into this close. Apple, we already tried to take out that top there. And again, that cow came through, but not for that trade there today. It tried to come out. We had to support. At the end of the day, it was a failed break. It did not break that 32.50. We'll see if that can come in tomorrow. But right now it is Google that continues to go. So, wow. Okay, now I'm getting a little more and more upset. But there it goes right now. Oh, no.
Oh, come on.
Come on, Boeing. Possible safety risks on something again.
This is after they let go like 20.
With one of them. One of them.
Already took it on
I'm
the
going to
chin
go
to stock
short
today.
right now just to see if that story has any legs. 152.52 right now on a possible error on some Boeing planes. We're going to wait to hear more about that. Maybe also nothing at all. So we'll go short there. Risk 50 cents. Right, the imbalances are coming out.
So imbalances just hit. Now we're expecting a couple of like these deals that'll be huge. So SWN and PWSC are both big deals that are closing. BBWI comes out the wrong direction. Intel buy 3.5 million. NVIDIA buy 3.5 million.
Boy.
Apple buy 3 million. This is going to be a huge buy number. Walmart's in here for a buy of 1.4. Amazon's a sell. So NVIDIA, big buy, Apple, big buy, Amazon is a sell, but those are big numbers. The market overall is at 2.7 million to the buy side, with the NASDAQ being 1.3 and the Mag 7 overall 800 million. But NVIDIA, there's the buy imbalance on NVIDIA. Let's go to Adara.
I have this story here on Boeing BA. Basically, we have the National Transportation Safety Board saying that there's some foreign operators, apparently at least 40, according to what they had to say here, that might be using Boeing 737 planes with rudder control parts that could pose safety risks, according to a letter from the National Transportation Safety Board. So the NTS board flagging some potential concerns for some foreign Boeing vehicles are used in other countries here. We had a bit of a volume spike on that initial news, but not too much going since that announcement a couple minutes ago here, guys.
Okay, yeah, we're just talking about...
So I just wanted to...
yeah, go ahead, yeah.
I just want to point this out for anyone that might be looking at these. So this PWSC, like this thing, it's a deal that's closing for cash. I don't know why. It's saying auction price 85, it's trading 85. The deal is for $22.80. For the life of me, I have no idea how it can be a 7 million sell, be a deal closing for $22.80 cash, and be trading higher than that, which it is. By the way, NVIDIA went to the upside. So I have no idea why it's up here and not down at 80. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole because I always say if it doesn't make sense to me, then I just assume that, I tend to assume that I have something wrong or I don't know something. And not just say, oh, well, then I should just be shorting it up there because it shouldn't be up there. So we got out of Intel. That was a 3.5 million buy. It goes right up. I'm not shorting this when it's a buy and balance. The NASDAQ went to the upside on that. Well, I guess on NVIDIA's imbalance, but Apple was also a buy and balance, and that just came right back in. So this just pulled right back into VWAP. But big buy and balances here late in the day. Angry Bear just says, BOA doesn't like flying. You can say that again. The only good news for Boeing today, not like there is much, is it held the 52-week low. So it broke the 52-week low and then kind of regained it here at 151. So the good news is, with the bad news, it hasn't retaken the low and continued this nasty trend to the downside, which stock has been a short till it's not, but it's in a consolidative phase. Like the short's actually in the high 150s, and then you get like $5 down to there, another 2.5%. At some point, this is going to lose that bid, though.
This Google is 60 cents up. I mean, we just touched out to 80s right there. So I feel a little silly not taking the trade, but we talked about it and why we didn't want to do it. And there's always, and again, like Joe on the midday show, even me just sitting here, like I'm learning more and more things. I'm just listening to everything and probably getting smarter on this kind of stuff. And it's just like, there'll always be another trade, you know. Joe's demeanor is just like, he's just so chilled out all the time. And it's just like, you know what, don't worry about it, there'll be another trade. And I think he's right. And so he is right, because we'll be back tomorrow But there's Google right now, 165.70. So all we've really learned is like to trust what it is. There's the break right there on, I mean, here's the line right here. We talked about 165. We drew it out. We talked about why we liked it. We talked about this early run there. And then I think that this is the next one to get going, that there's going to be some buyers if and when the market goes up. The market goes up, and then the buyers came literally just crashing into this party. As soon as we broke 165, one of my friends must have come in there and just start buying up the name. Now, maybe too much value for you there, Kathy, but nice move to the upside right there for Google. Again, one of the, I'm anointing it the next one to get back up to 52-week highs from where it is current levels right now. I think Meta is my favorite long-term holding there in the space, but I think Google and Apple will continue to be very important parts. Okay. 355 right now, coming in just 20 seconds. We could get a little bit of a flip up on this. So right now, this is $7.12. This is SWN. It does have a sell imbalance, so it goes from 716 basically down to 711. And in just a matter of seconds, we will get a flip up on this one, and we'll be able to see where it wants to go. But there it is, 3, 2, and potentially 1. And there we go. It gets bigger there, so you may want to join the party.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Join the party on that one to the south side. So, yeah, nice movement happening right here in the market as we continue to watch out for more downside pressures on SWN and that PWSC and BBWI. Some rebalancing happening today.
Yeah, and there's a question, someone just asking, is there an imbalance on coin? If there's an imbalance on Coinbase, it is less than 500,000. I could sort it. I mean, I can do this. Like, I'm not in any positions. I have to get up to the desk. Maybe the last thing I do is just check for you this way. If there's not a significant imbalance, whoops, I went the wrong direction. Neil, always before P.
Look at the NASDAQ.
Coin. There's so many names out here. It's probably nothing. There you go. 36,000 sell imbalance. See, here's it's not just that it's a small imbalance. The open interest is a 1 million shares, and there's only 36 of it that's to sell. So absolutely not is the answer there. So technically speaking, there is one, but it is completely insignificant and not worth looking at. I'm going to mosey on up to the desk, and if anyone's going to be in,
oh my God,
like that SWN just actually bounced a little bit here. That is a share deal, so I'd be a little bit cautious with that one for the big sell imbalance. But you know what? We're going to have some fun in the aftermarket show. We're going to have our good friend, the NOS boss, in there. We'll take your Q&A. We probably might, I guess we're not going to be doing any gags, but the next time we have an opportunity to do those, we'll be right back at it. Maybe make it a Friday thing where we have some fun in the aftermarket show where you guys challenge us to ridiculous stuff. But we'll be living in the now this time up there with the NOS boss. Lion Trade just said full position now in SoFi.
Sorry about that.
I have not looked at SoFi today, but I'm going to make the assumption that it's not doing anything because I feel like it hasn't been doing anything in a while. But I'm going to make it on up to the desk. And before I do that, because you just said it, I'm going to look at SoFi.
Yeah.
And SoFi is under $8. I, for one, am incredibly shocked that it is under $8 because this has been resistance at $8.50 for a while. I don't even need this to load up because I could tell you that the 850 did not break, and therefore the stock is, I mean, it's actually a good upward trend, but it needs to break out the 850, which we were waiting for a while back, and when it failed 850, it pulled right back in the 200 period. Hey, but it's got higher lows since making a fresh 52-week low. There's nothing wrong with higher lows and higher highs since that, so there's your trend line. If it can break out the top, I think it looks good, but I'm not. I'm already in that stock, and it hasn't done anything for me. It's been a while.
Over there, then,
I'm going to get up to the desk and let's get it. No, I got the boot back on, so I'm good.
Okay. It still kind of looks like hobbling. All right, so here we go. All right, so we got, no, just joking. We got in and out of Boeing there for flat. We actually wound up making a small little bit there as it ticks up and ticks down. Once that move did not happen, we got out of it. If you're going to ever play a news-related name and it doesn't move, you just get out. I mean, that's the best way to trade that because you're the wrong way, right? If it doesn't move, give it a couple minutes, especially with those imbalances. We gone on that one. Wowzers, what a day it was for the TQs. Look at the NASDAQ, man, ending the day at its highs. And we flipped over, man. We talked about being bearish early, which we cashed in on. and now we are flat. We did not take any hits whatsoever. They're going short now into the end of the day. What a move up for NVIDIA, though. 121.50. What a move up for Google at the end of the day as well. 166, giving us $1 on that play that I should have had, but I didn't. Nice move up there for Google to end the day. What about Alibaba and some of the Chinese names? Kind of left those. All right, so they're pulling back actually pretty good. I think Baba was 109, wasn't it today? Yes, it was. If not, even more than that. Wow, yeah, 112 off open there. So 109 was a level that, right, that's where VWAP was. Okay, so was looking at 109, never got back up to there with only 1 minute to go. Now we'll be ringing that bell. I got to get on the right page. I'm never on the right page. There it is right there, countdown. Okay, Alibaba moving around. Apple was the strongest. Yeah, I'm on the right page. I got it. Apple was the, whoa, big size there, alert. 300,000 shares right there, Apple, 223. That ain't going to matter at all. That's 1% of the day, 36 million. Watch this. You want to see 300,000? Do that math, right here, my chart is off. Do the math on how many shares that is right now going through on AAPL. All right, 233, there it is, man. 52-week highs for Apple. Let me give that to you in just a second. 52-week high for Apple, 237.25 right now. It is the countdown. The countdown is now on. Apple turns around from that level. This is brought to you by Firefly, revolutionizing brain health. 3, 2, 1. There we go. We are now closed. Thank you. Thank you, Adara. Yeah, you did great there. That was a good one. Thank you so much for that. As we go back up to the upside, what an afternoon there to close out the month. Nice rally back up to the front. Remember, about an hour ago, I said window dressing possible. It looks like whether or not you like dressing on your salad, looks like they put it on the market there at the end of the day. What a great opportunity it was there at the end to see some of these closes. Yeah, make sure you hit the like and subscribe. SWN, where does that go at the end of the day? Doesn't look like that print is even out yet, or maybe it is. So that finishes there. SWN, wrong chart. SWN right there, printing pretty flat. PWSC was another one on everybody's mind. A lot of volume going through, so that might be one of those flat trades as well. All right, so here we go, man. To end the day, it is the triple Qs. We can quickly look at a monthly chart on this. Let me just go over here, grab a monthly chart for you on the T triple Qs, and just figure out where we ended up. No, it's only one triple Q. We don't need the T on here. So there it is, ending the month. Not bad, 487. What did we have here? So the beginning of the month, this is a daily chart, so we'll try to grab that 090 right into here. So right here, beginning of the month, 475. So adding about $10 there into that at the end is the Qs. The diamonds now. Diamonds, it's an all-time high alert right now for the Dow Jones. As that gets close enough, the Dow Jones 30, obviously, we have a wick high there as well. And then the SPY ahead of bank earnings, closing at or near record highs as well. What a great September it was. Thank you so much for staying late with us. It's about to get even later as we go over to the market recap show. It's Neil. Thanks, Brendan. Thanks, Adara, Joe, Sharif, Fabian, everybody, Adrian, everybody today. Thank you so much for helping, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:30. Ciao.
Thank you very much there, Sean. The market recap starts about now, and the end of a fantastic September. Who cares about the old notion that September is not supposed to be any good? Now, obviously, it wasn't a monster day today for the overall markets as you guys are following along, but overall, fantastic September comes to an end. We did have Fed Chair Powell's comments during the middle of the day here, I guess a little bit later on in the afternoon. They're indicating he favored a couple cuts. Pointing to, that's still Sean's chart, a couple of cuts totaling 50 basis points by the end of 2024. Bostic and Goolsby a little more dovish in their remarks. But look, you had the overall NASDAQ looking very well in the month of September. It was a good month for crypto. Its best month, which is crazy. Its best September since inception. Like, that's a crazy stat. Like, I didn't actually realize that would be true. Best September since 2009 for Bitcoin. Although a lot of that pulled back in here today. I think we saw a lot of this. There were some movers in the middle of the day, and I'm a little disappointed in one of them, to be honest with you, because you had a story, and I guess part of this is it was already known. he had his story in the middle of the day. He had the Democratic support of the cannabis lobby for legalization. But the truth is, I suppose everybody was already expecting that. So the long-awaited breakout here on MSOS is still going to have to wait temporarily. As you zoom way in, it's broken the trend line that I have. It's held the 50 period. It's kind of like the reservation in Seinfeld. It's like you can hold the reservation, you can't keep it. You can hold the trend line, you just can't break out the top, which is what you're supposed to do next over there. So I'm interested when Michael Nas comes through, like what did break out and give the fills, what didn't. MSOS was an example he was looking at that didn't. I'm imagining pretty much every single Chinese ADR that you looked at recently that had a breakout level probably did. So I know a couple of the ones that he was in, probably imagining they're having to look pretty good. When you look across the board here, I mean, obviously you have some green on the board. And the interesting ones, the regional banks to lead today, and we're going to get the big banks reporting. But we never really, I should say I never really look at these. But looking at where this actually bounced today, you have a couple of things going on here, which is frustrating that I wasn't looking at this. When this made a trend break on the daily chart, the KRE, right in here, look where this thing dipped to. We talk about confluence a lot when it comes to trading. Now, I'm not a swing trader. We day trade every single day. But here is your clean trend line. There is your break right here. When it goes back to the level at which it held the trend line break at 50 and change, that's also the 50 period where it bounces off of cleanly to then make a retest of the highs. That's what we mean by confluence. When you look at one reason for liking a level, then you get another reason it holding here perfectly. Then you get another reason because it's a 50 period moving average on the daily, and then it's an upward trend. So another higher low, it's got a trend line that I could draw this way. There's almost no point doing it. So KRE looking relatively strong. I just noticed that when I pulled it up. It just so happens that it led these sectors. And I'm like, oh goodness, we were looking at that trend line before. Sometimes you got to leave those in there. And when we talk about like big trend lines and massive ones that get respected, when they break, have a look on the way back in for some of those in the other direction. They can be awfully good. And that's going to lead me right over to energy. Because when you look at the XLE, much like that MSOS trend line, this is about as clear as you're ever going to see. Lower highs and lower lows. And once again, this is the top of the line is more of a line of best fit, which sometimes you do that. This is not meant to say if it goes above that line, it's breaking out, because you guys can see. All I've done is do a line of best fit. The lows have been a lot more distinct. You're not really closing often beneath those lows. But yeah, not a great look. What I want to see happen here is not just that you break out back above these trends down on XLE, but look at the 50 and the 200 period moving averages here. You're not regaining the 50 period with any gusto. The next time it breaks that trend, you have a chance to break out the 50 and the 200. So if it can do that, close above, I think that's going to signal an opportunity for some buying. You do, of course, have the concerns with every single pullback in China is probably going to be bad for energy and materials, because the idea of them pumping is that you're supposed to have them back their economy, do a bunch of printing, and then that'll keep demand higher. If people think that's a bad idea or not going to work, then you're not going to get the breakout that you want in energy and materials, or at least not what you're expecting. Now, obviously, this is one where you wait for the trend to actually confirm. Like, this is a very strong trend line down. Like, this is going all the way to April on XLE. So you want some confirmation with this as far as I'm concerned. Overall, we did see what happened with the SPY once again. You can't complain. Like Sean said, the Dow at the high, but we're not doing anything off the high. All we're doing is kind of going sideways, rejecting those tops, and we're getting a little bit more of that as we speak. So the SPY, I don't have any reason to change. I think we've come it's consolidative after this breakout of the top, which means when it gets to the high, you're looking for shorts. That's part of the reason why I came in with more bearish ideas than anything else, because it just felt like you made the pull off the top and you're looking for that rejection. One that's worth pointing out here, the XBI. Now, any guesses as to what might be dragging this down today? It's actually flat. Yeah, Eli Lilly didn't have a very good day. And this is on the most recent trend line. And this is the concerning part about XPI. It's been in a great upward trend. But that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Call it 5 times the quintuple top up here just above the 103 level on the XPI. So the biotech ETF here, still in an upward trend with higher lows, and I like that. But what I don't like is, since this double top test, the test of the 50 period underneath, you made this bottom, another bottom underneath the 50, another bottom underneath that 50 period, and now look what's happening at the 50 period moving average. It's rejecting breakouts above. So the 50 period on the daily is 99 on XPI, and it's essentially just failing these levels above it. Don't necessarily love that. I think when you see this, if we lose the bottom of this consolidation, you're on basically you have a date with the 200 period at 93. That looks like it's about to give you the dip buy if you're interested into it. Sometimes this is what happens. You get up to those highs. I know it's a great entry, and Michael talks about this all the time. We're going to have him in just a few minutes when he's ready. It's better to buy things going into highs, just into those highs, than try to pick things that are falling knives. However, I want to see this back above the 50 and breaking back out to say, hey, if it can break 100, then you have 100 long with a stop down here, as opposed to praying that it just holds on to this level. Because if it breaks that, you might as well just buy it back at the 93. I see CompuCare teams in the house. What up there? I just saw you in the chat. We love all of you guys. On the other side of the train, well, we know SMH didn't have a very good day. You saw NVIDIA. You saw all the chip names. I didn't necessarily want to rehash that. The one that I wanted to go over was GDX and GLD. So GDX, your failure is now complete. Okay, it's not a failure when you're up this high, but that last breakout of the top over 40.20, yeah, we've just broken that. So on Friday, we had pulled back into it. Now we've broken it. So again, this is going to be testing that trend in about a couple of dollars or so on GDX, whereas GLD still much stronger, right? Like the miners, gold miners, maybe not as strong here as the gold trust itself, but in the midst of a pullback, I'd be a little bit more concerned with that GDX. I think here the 50 period's been respected, and you still got a ways to go. So there's a lot to be looking at in the overall market. It's a pretty strong day here, but I've been waiting for this because this morning we had Michael on this morning, and I know everyone's been like, oh, China this, China that. It's not the only thing moving around here, and he had some different names to give us this morning. We're going to catch up with Michael with a little bit of trader talk, but I'm going to still ask him if he believes in some of these China breakouts now that they're giving you the dip. Welcome, Michael. Michael Noss, our good friend from Trade Ideas. And you see what I did there in the intro? Because you didn't want to talk about, and actually, look, it's fine. China did such a big run, and like every single day last week, every trader was like, China's the strongest thing, China's the strongest thing. And it felt like we're beating a dead horse. But I did want to ask you about it in the midst of the pullback here today. And I want to make sure we got into that, because that's the thing. My favorite thing, and I think maybe you've said this before, anybody that's technical traders probably said this, when breakouts pull back into prior resistance levels, we kind of like those. So when you have a move like what we've seen in, whether it's KWeb, Alibaba, Neo, just pick one, or any of the names, the smaller names that maybe you were looking at, when you pull back, you're going to get some prior resistance to potentially pull back into. So I'm just curious if there's anything, we'll get into some of the other things you've talked about, but is there anything in China that is interesting you? I know we've just started the pullback, so maybe not yet.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty much the case. Is not really yet. The reason I didn't want to talk about China is I don't want to feel like bragging, because I think it was on here with you a couple weeks ago on that initial kind of volume thrust that I was very interested in. I talked about names like I've got FXI on my screen, but I talked about how I was buying JD, and I actually have some JD from way down here in the 20s, BABA, names like these. I think you keep the big quality names on watch, because those little lower flow junkier names, I think, are going to get hit a little bit harder. However, we still have a long way to go before this pullback could even be considered a pullback. You know, if you're looking from a close to close basis, if you ignore the gap up this morning, these didn't really move that much, right? If we go back to FXI, really not that big of a deal. We notice it because we are, looking at the gap in the morning, and then we look at the intraday chart that is fading all day. But if you're someone who had a bunch of China in your portfolio and you went to work and you came back, it wasn't really that big of a deal. So ideally, we don't pull back at all. Ideally, we chop around here sideways for a long period of time, and then maybe I can add to those positions. But yeah, I'm going to be watching on a pullback. I don't think this is the end for China. The government seems to be full. We're going to prop up our markets come hell or high water. And just like I talked about that, I don't own companies like AMC where they're diluting or selling their shares. I want to own companies like Apple that's buying back shares. It's the same thing with economies. I don't want to own necessarily something like the US when they were just upping rates over and over and over again. But as soon as they stopped upping rates, that's when we had the rally. And now that we're lowering rates, that could be the opposite. So I don't think this is over. I think the kind of government made it clear that it's not going to be. I think it's all about timing our entry from now on.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, like I was sort of leaning in there. I knew it's not much of a pullback, but it's got to be in the mind. And like, I know you resisted talking about those names because you didn't want to brag, but one of the things that we often do get from our viewers, because as Sean and I are day trading, and I've said very openly, like, I'm in Alibaba. The first few times I swung Alibaba, I lost. And then this time I found a good entry. I'm like, you know what? It's a pretty decent fundamental company in terms of like blah, 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 looking at normal valuations. So this time when I got the entries in the 70s, I'm like, no, I'm just holding this one and we're going to let it ride. So I'm not trading it. But a lot of our viewers are always asking, now what do I do with it? Like, what's the look technically when you made this big of a move? Are you trimming some? And I think that's the reason I wanted to ask, just to get your thoughts on where it's going. And there was, to the point that you just said, the riskier ones, the squeezier ones, like, we got a question about TAL, the education companies, and all I could do was throw my hands up on TAL. And look, all of these Chinese names are going to look strong after the stimulus of last week. But I do believe you can sometimes look to the history of the stock, the fact that it's a squeeze play. Certainly, those can be good. I just think when it's a fundamental type move, like stimulus, I want companies that are that you can trust to actually make money off of it. And if you're not sure about that, sometimes you can step away. Okay, so all that out of the way, Michael, what else do you have your eyes on in here? Because I feel like we were talking about some potential bottoms being formed, and I got geared up when we heard that MSOS or the cannabis news that maybe MSOS was going to make that breakout. It didn't. Did anything trigger for you today that was coming off of the bottoms? That was the one that caught my eye. I thought there'd be like one or two catalysts to get it going. It didn't really go. Did you get into anything since we talked to you this morning?
Nothing really. A little bit of a pullback play on HYLN, which is just a battery manufacturer, I believe. I think a big thing to point out, though, and kind of the theme for today is I love, and I know that you have the same kind of look there that we have at Trade Ideas, where we have these heat maps for the sectors that are up and down. And sometimes it's a mixed bag and there's not really much theme to look at. And then there's sometimes I look at the screen and I see a very obvious theme. And I think it ties into what I was talking to this morning about maybe looking to invest or looking to trade a little bit outside the US. All the names here, other than MSOS, which there was news, we have regional banks, we have corn, we have energy, right? Berkshire Hathaway, we have wheat, a lot of these names. And then down, we have Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners. And then, like you were talking about, we have semiconductors, all of these different names. So it seems to be a very bifurcated market, which is the thing that was working, which was the AI trade, semiconductors, that kind of big cap tech, the risky assets. That doesn't seem to be what's carrying us right now. What's carrying us right now is the boring stuff in quotation marks. So corn and wheat and banks and things like this, it's really what's carrying us forward. So for me, that's the main thing I think I took notice today is that, okay, it's more of this direction. So when I came on this morning, I said, if you take the US out of the world and you use the All Country World Index, which is ACWX, as a proxy, last week it was relatively strong to the markets. And I don't think that that's a US versus the rest of the world story. I think that's a big tech or tech-related things that we know is U.S. dominant to more industrial and, again, boring type names. So that theme seems to be continuing. So that's where I'm going to spend a lot of my time and energy is, again, boring companies, but things, they make real things and not AI chatbots.
Not that there's anything wrong with those, but yeah, when the rotation is there, you do want to make sure you're looking at it. Look, I think I see Thomas in the chat just saying, are banks boring? And just to answer that question, well, I think the difference would be, you know what, banks are kind of boring lately. It used to be, like, not to lump KRE in there, but like you see the things that were leading, and KRE being the small regional banks in there. There was a time when the banks wouldn't have been considered boring. I know obviously in the financial crisis, they weren't boring back in the day when we would have started trading. They were not boring stocks at all. But with the exception of maybe JPM every once in a while, yeah, I would put them into that box. And as you said, we've been in a market, like it or not, that's in this last upward move has been all about AI and all about chips. Yep. And it's an oversimplification to say that almost everything else is boring and can be put into that bucket because they haven't been the things that have been strong for us. I was specifically when it comes to KRE here, the one this is what's interesting me about this, and you can tell me what your thoughts are on this, because I don't know if you've ever been into this kind of a thing. Now, I'll admit that I remember putting a trend line in on KRE. So I remember doing this, and when it happened, it was probably pretty obvious because it made this top and then there. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's a pretty big move off the lows for the regionals. It then happened to hold this. But I'm kicking myself because, and I'm glad Trade Ideas leaves this in here forever if you don't get rid of it to remind me that this happened. When this broke the trend line, it broke at this price at about 51. And you can see what happened after that. And then you look at this dip. Now, we have a term called, we say something like confluence a lot on the show, right? Like it's great if you have one reason to buy something. It's nice if you have two reasons. It's fantastic if you have three. Is there something, like I know you use, oftentimes you're using the cloud feature for those buy zones with the moving averages. What's your go-to? We like support and resistance. We like trend lines. What's your go-to for like a third area of confluence? Because I find lately, I'm looking at these trend lines and breaks of trend lines and consolidations off trend lines have been absolutely gold in everything I'm looking at here. But what is your go-to in terms of looking for multiple things of confluence in the trade? If I can put you on the spot there. Because I looked at this and said, man, that trend line, it came back into it, and the same level that it broke out from was an absolute gorgeous long. And I can't tell you how many times I've been seeing that. Just let me know. I know you like those clouds. It'd be a great chance to maybe plug those moving average clouds. But what are your go-to maybe three things that you look for in a trading setup?
Well, I think support and resistance, you nailed it. You have to have that. I think that's everything. I take, it's funny, when I brought this up, I had this trend line here as well, and I don't even think we spoke about this. But I would take horizontal support and resistance over trend lines any day of the week, just because I think more of the market participants, price has memory and value has memories. If I bought KRE at $50, then that is my anchor point for memory on, hey, yeah, $50 is going to be important every time it gets there because my P&L is going to reflect the fact that I bought there. It's going to go from positive to negative, things like that. So horizontal support resistance, I think, is key, and you can't ever defeat it. I do like these moving average clouds that we have at Trade Ideas. We call it Trade Wave. Very soon, there's going to be a scan for this. I actually have the teaser version over here that I've been building out throughout the week, where it's going to tell you when these buy and sells occur based off of moving average crossovers and price action. We have a little combination there and does a good job of keeping you in trends. And then lastly, I think is Anchored View app. As someone who's a friend of Brian Shannon, and I speak to him all the time, I think Anchored View app is key. And for your example, right, when we had this pullback, you can see it lined up with this prior high right here, which was perfect. And then I just drew an Anchored View app from the major swing low. And when it got there, it spent 2 weeks or so just chopping around that area. and then broke out. And then when it's come back and retested it, that's broken out again. So really, I think if you line up a strong area of support and resistance with an anchored VWAP level, then those two things alone should get you interested. Then after that, it's basic candlestick patterns. And I don't look at the very, textbook, this is a harami and a bullish belt hold and all of the weird ones. There's hundreds you can go through. But bottoming tails and topping tails, as someone who trades off the daily chart, I don't need to look at the intraday action. If I see a bottoming tail, or better yet, a series of bottoming tails around that support resistance area, that just tells me that during the day, sellers tried to pull the market under that resistance point, and then it popped back up. And I think that's a really good thing that you can trade off of.
Yeah, great look there. And it's one of those things where I know I can put you on the spot there, and being a trader, you're going to be able to give me those three. It's just something that came to my mind there, and I feel like it's really good value just to get an idea of the areas of confluence. I love trend lines too. Like I want to make a point there. I actually do like support and resistance more than trend lines. I just find that the fact that it dipped at that 50, which also happened to be the other side of the trend line, that's just a good reason to be in it. So tomorrow, SMCI is going to be reverse splitting. I mean, in fact, actually, technically, reverse split is effective tonight, and then tomorrow you get traded at the split value. It hasn't been a good run. I can tell you right now, I've been trading a while. Maybe you can tell me if you remember a stock that's been added to the S&P 500 and doing a reverse split and looked as bearish as it is at the moment after those things have happened. For the life of me, in 20 years, I've never seen anything look quite like it. Then you have the delay of their, fundamentally speaking, it's not good. You had the delay of their annual report. You had the DOJ looking into them. You had whistleblowers. It's just accounting for, there's so much going on here. I know you tweeted about this one recently. It's going to be unavoidable tomorrow because a lot of traders are going to look at it. Do you have any thoughts on SMCI other than it's just been an obvious downtrend?
Yeah, I think so. Probably the tweet, and I'm just putting on the 50-day moving average here, but I think the tweet that you were referencing is I actually did a whole video about this as well on my Twitter. And the idea was that you want to stay with the strongest, and there's so much evidence in this in the literature. If you want to go through and read, there's so many academic studies about relative strength and relative weakness and buying new highs versus buying new lows. There's not many things we know for sure in the market, but we do know that trends, generally speaking, persist. And it's been kind of interesting and a bit funny to watch the news cycle when it comes to SMCI, where you're right, it seems like bad news story after bad news story after bad news story. But this thing already had kind of broken down before that had taken place. So the reason I brought up the 50-day moving average is if you look at SMCI and it's sloping down and it's pointing down, and then you just pick, the darling of the sectors with NVIDIA, at least it's above that. So for me, I think you can do a pretty simple thing with your trading and say, I want to be in the ones, if there's two things that I can choose from, I can either own SMCI or I could own something like NVIDIA. I'm going to look for the ones that it's above a key moving average, like the 50-day, and that's pointing higher because that keeps me in an uptrend. This actually reminds me, SMCI reminds me of Boeing.
Right.
But Boeing, when you remember we had this initial gap down when the plane started to fall apart, and I've heard so many people say, I'm going to buy the dip, right? This is oversold, so on and so forth. And this thing just continues lower. And it seems like bad news after bad news follows it. But the trend started before the bad news. And one thing that I always like to say when we were talking about banks earlier, and KRE, we had all these regional banks go bankrupt. None of them were in uptrends, right? You don't generally have companies that report bad news after bad news like this when they're in uptrends. So long story short, with something like SMCI, I look at this and I say, hey, this is in a broken trend. It's got to do a lot of repair before I'd be even interested in buying this at all. And that's kind of the way I look at it. I'd rather go to the best of breeds, which are going to be your AMD, your NVIDIA, even MU, I think, woke up the other day and got above its 50-day moving average. I just think that there's a lot of places to go in the space that are going to give you a better, if you're right and chips are going to move higher, I think you're going to get better bang for your buck there. And if you're wrong and chips move lower, I think you'll lose a little bit less money with these best of breed guys. Yeah,
I tend to agree with you. You know what? I'm trying to remember, there's people smarter than myself have said, when you're trying to make a point like the one there with SMCI and relative weakness, or you went to Boeing, using the most extreme example possible is the best way to hammer a point. Because if you pull up, like when you're trying to figure out, okay, what's relatively weak and what does that look like, remind yourself of what it really, really looks like, because that's the one that you really, really don't want to get wrapped up in because there's something extreme about it. And I think you're right to point out Boeing. Boeing was a perfect example of that. As somebody who, like, I didn't buy any dips on Boeing or anything like that, but I certainly am I'm guilty of not really selling as much as I should have in my long-term account because I've had Boeing for a very, very long time. And it's an oligopoly, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day if it's trading to the downside. Michael, again, thank you. I want to make sure before we get you out of here, if there's anything else that you didn't get a chance to talk about there, and shout out to you on X. I know you do some great videos, and that's a good one on SMCI. But like, just any final thoughts for the viewers before we get you out of here?
I just think the rotation, right? I kind of implore people. I always try to speak to the newer trader because the older trader's probably sick of me. But there's going to be this group of trader that is got into the market and hopefully made a lot of money, or at least did well trading the theme, which was AI. And, it became very, very easy to do that. And it became easy to make money in the AI theme. I did it as well, where every day it seemed like NVIDIA and semiconductors and all this stuff was moving higher. And that's fantastic. But the role of a trader, if you're going to be in it for a long run, is to keep that money that you made when it was easy and look for potentially where the next easy money is in quotation marks. And it could AI come back and we have another lag higher? Absolutely. But it's just not what we're seeing right now in the charts. We're seeing more of this banks and boring type names. So, make sure you don't create an identity of someone who just trades big cap or just trades ship names or something like that. Use something like Trade Ideas with code TraderTV20 to look around and find potentially what that next theme is. And then the quote I always use for this, and I love, it's Jim Rogers, who's one of the first hedge fund managers ever. His quote was always, "I wait for a $20 bill to be lying on the ground. I go down and pick it up." I think that's what trading themes should feel like. And when it no longer feels like that, and you're really trying to nitpick entries and you're fighting to get into NVIDIA in a certain way, it might be time to move on to a different theme.
I love that. What's interesting is when I first started as a trader, and when I was a penny stock trader, that same quote is a famous one. And then the penny stock version of it was, "Hey, if it's raining nickels, are you going to go outside and cash them?" Because some people are like, "Well, only trade the big caps." And well, if you finding that it was much easier for me starting out trading some of those small ones post the .com boom, it's like it was raining nickels. That's just as good if there's enough of them as picking up that 20 on the ground. Thank you so much, Michael. More words of wisdom. There are some questions in there, and maybe you can address them on X, your thoughts on Tesla. But we're gonna get you out of here. Can't wait to talk to you on Friday again in the morning. But don't hesitate to brag. It's not bragging. It's just going over the good. What to do with some of those wins in the Chinese names and what to look for next, right? Like, it's always about what's next. So we can always be celebrating our wins. Thank you so much, Michael Noss, good friend of the show. Check out Trade Ideas and get that Trader TV 20. Good luck the rest of the week.
Thanks very much for having me. Talk to you on Friday.
Talk to you then. All right, you know what time it is. We're going to get some roll call in there. I got to make sure we get through this in a good amount of time because you know what? There's a lot of traffic on the way to my physio place, and I don't want to be late for my appointment. No, that's just, it is what it is, but it's important. But you know what we have to do when we start off here? We have a great time here at Trader TV Live. We thank our entire team. Obviously, Fabian, Ramin, Andre on the ones and twos, Sean, Brennan, and Darren out full-time on the desk, giving you more segments. On the midday, we had Joe with Sharif. Joe doing a great job. Satya coming through. But it all begins with Bears versus Bulls, the best moderator in the business. Thank you for all you do. Always making the chat a welcoming place for everybody in our fantastic community. And speaking of that, I wanted to make sure you know what to do next. When we do roll call around here, you got to type in the chat, have your name come on through, and oh, wow. As we started off, the low-key life. Bears versus Bulls. It was fun having you as a mod, but I stopped trading, so have a wonderful life. Hey, it's all good. You can always come back to the game. We appreciate you. Member for 12 months. So congratulations to you. Thank you for joining in, and thank you for having some fun with us. Jeremy Newman in the chat. There's Eli7721. Fluffy Hippo, always have fun saying that. For Profit, we got Jimmy Joe Smith, Highland Park Dance, Bora Hout. We got Thomas Deason in the chat. Easy peasy, what up? David, thank you for the super chats there, David, today. We appreciate you. CompuCare team in the house. Sebastian, Mr. Misunderstood as well. We got, again, Melendez, and a couple of repeats. The Piper, the Low-Key Life. We got Luis, we got CPDB, we got Breaking VWAP. I love the name. We love some VWAP around here, as you know. Vedicastrologer. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one. Spark Shop, you are back and you are not broke. And Spark Shop, you were a heck of a lot of fun. You're a great sport, and you were a man of your word there. Thank you for the super chats. We had a lot of fun on Friday. We love that. Hey, Google. We also got Francisco Guzman, Jay Haas, For Profit, Team PJCT, Smooth 1J, Viva Jurgen in the chat, Jay Alvarez, A Bet on 82, Baseball Card Will. We've got Diggity Risk, I should say, 1320 Wolf, Mo, Jorge Ramirez in the chat, Palm Trees and Good Vibes. What up to you? Love that name. Oliver Catasaurus. We got Simon Stock Trader, Rob Jenkins, Angry Bear, and Yassine, Jay Haas in the chat as well. Shout out to all of you. If we didn't get anybody, then I apologize. I am not perfect at it, but you guys are all so amazing. The best thing about everything, we get to do it tomorrow. And don't forget, tomorrow, SMCI is going to be a $40 stock. So a lot of us that have been waiting to trade it more actively are going to get a chance to do so. And it all starts bright and early, 8:30 tomorrow morning. We'll see you back then. But for now, have a great night, and we'll see you first thing in the morning, 8:30. Bye, guys. There he is.